who's been working with women navigating these hidden battles. Kerry, thank you so much for your time. Good morning.
Thank you so much. Good to be here.
Yeah, it does seem quite luxurious, doesn't it? Doesn't it? When we see it on TV and, it says, this is how you relax, you deserve this break. But a glass of wine isn't just a break. It can be much more troubling than we think, right?
Absolutely. It's been made to seem very cool. And if you look at functions where people are not drinking, they almost belittled where, what's wrong with you? Why? Come on, have a drink. It's such a normal thing. And if you're with the in crowd and you're all drinking and having fun, it is cool. So it was branded that way, and it was made out to be something that, if men can do it, women can do it. And this is the thing that you're supposed to do when you meet people at the end of the day, when you have functions. If you're going out for a business lunch, it doesn't matter what it is, you always get invited for a drink.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And it seems like that drink seems compulsory, like we all should be drinking anyway. So come through, let's have a drink. But more than anything, it's been seen to be something that promotes relaxation, promotes me time, and almost like something that's been masked to promote like your mental health. Hey, this is how I take care of myself at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And I do understand from a brain point of view, people who have very, very busy brains and a lot going on, that drink will calm all the busyness down. So it does help you in some way. It's a coping strategy. But it's not, everything's about balance. So when that one or two glasses becomes a bottle and that's when it becomes dangerous.
Right. And let's speak about some of those hidden messaging behind that glass of wine, because, like we said, it will probably help you relax at the end of the day. But if it becomes a daily habit, maybe you should be looking into something else. What exactly is the conversation that we should be having? I mean, the conversation is wine o'clock, but the real conversation are the deeper struggles that more and more women are facing that lead them to this daily wine o'clock routine.
Absolutely. So I think that the pressures that women are under now compared to even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, are much more vast. So especially post-COVID as well. So a lot of women are running their own businesses, or you're in a company where you really have to make sure that that job works for you, because nobody ever wants to land up where they were in COVID. So women are working harder. A lot of kids are being homeschooled now, or they're looking after an elderly parent or somebody who's at home. So there's a lot of that pressure. Plus, they're working all day. So they still have to do homework and pack the school lunches and everything else. So it just seems like a lot of pressure on them, where a lot of women just aren't coping with that. They're not getting the support they need from anyone else in the family.
Yeah. And coping is what we're speaking about, right? Alcohol consumption is becoming a coping mechanism. Speak to us about how this is.
Absolutely. So I think from my point of view, what I've been seeing with my clients, they don't have a lot of people that they can talk to and vent with. A lot of people don't want to go and seek help because they don't want anybody to know what it is that they're really going through, or they literally don't want to admit that they are an alcoholic on some level. So they cope with it the best way that they can, in a silent way that's socially acceptable. Going out there and discussing it makes people frown upon you, and you're seen as less than, because you have to go and do this terrible thing just to cope, where everybody else seems to be okay. So I think that it's a silent way of just coping and doing it in a way that makes sense to you, where you can feel good at the end of each day.
Do you think that my opening statement was correct in terms of how the media has really influenced the sort of look of luxury when it comes to alcohol consumption, especially in this particular wine o'clock scenario?
Oh, 100%. I was actually listening the other day to, I didn't know that this existed, but apparently there's this thing going around where young kids can rent a bottle. So if they can't
What?
afford alcohol, they pay to rent the bottle, to take photos with the bottle, and then they go home sober because they can't afford to actually drink that bottle. But it's so trendy that they just want to pose with it, just to show people that they're cool. I didn't even know that that existed. So it really is seen to be very, very trendy.
Yeah, 100%. And now that trend becomes, that look, maybe one day you pose with the bottle, the next time you get a little bit older, you make a little bit of money. Now you can afford that bottle. And now you get to not just show off that you can afford a particular bottle, but also the alcohol consumption that comes with it is very harmful.
Absolutely. And the more people have all of these events where everybody's drinking together, or the more you can show off that you're drinking that Don Julio or whatever it is, the more you aspire to it. So you're drinking a much stronger alcohol that's very, very trendy in a bigger quantity than normal, because maybe you're not used to that kind of quality of alcohol. But yeah, over time it becomes a new set point where you're drinking more and more and more. And it definitely isn't good for our health on any level, not physically, not mentally. It messes our sleep up. There's so many other effects that it does. Yeah, and I think the quantity is the biggest problem at the moment. There's also a big difference between somebody's a regular drinker who has one or two glasses every day versus a binge drinker. The damage in your brain from binge drinking is actually worse than if you're a consistent drinker.
Wow. Well, we need to take a break, Kerry. Stay on the line with us. I know we've spoken about this being a coping mechanism and there's some underlying issues, but we can't just leave it there. We have to actually explore alternatives because there's obviously a deep need. There's stress, there's anxiety, there's, not coping with daily stresses that are taking place in our lives. But we need alternatives outside of wine o'clock to actually deal with everything that people are going through that's leading them towards alcohol consumption. So stay on the line. We'll come back and continue this wine o'clock conversation after the break.
Vue d'Afrique avec Joël Mouteba.
Cette peur d'un point de non-retour nucléaire suffit-elle selon vous à légitimer une telle offensive, Monsieur Taladi?
Absolument pas du tout. Cela fait plus de 30 ans que l'Israël crie haut et fort sur les toits où il veut se faire entendre que l'Iran serait à un an pour obtenir l'arme nucléaire. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 6 mois. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 2 semaines pour obtenir son arme nucléaire. Et curieusement, jusqu'à ce jour, il n'y a toujours aucune preuve que l'Iran a obtenu cette arme nucléaire en dépit des déclarations d'Israël et de certaines puissances parfois.
Vue d'Afrique. Du lundi au vendredi de 15h à 16h, temps universel.
Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go. Get set and be ready to go. On the move with Palisa Tawo and Benjamin Mushatama.
21 minutes past 9 o'clock Central African time. This is On the Move with myself, Benjamin Mushatama and Palisa Tawo. Today we're starting the show with this casual way of drinking. Sometimes we call it wine o'clock, and most of the time you don't see it as a harmful thing. It looks like it would never really hurt you in the long run. But how do you actually manage it? That's what we're talking about today. We're joined by Kerry Rudman from Brain Harmonics, who's been working with women navigating battles of alcoholism, especially when you just use these phrases like 1 o'clock, and then you start having those more often, and you start noticing that, this is becoming a big, big problem. Kerry, let's talk a little bit about that. When something that's so casual, that's so easily done, becomes problematic, how would you actually start noticing that change? That, something that was casual is now starting to become a bad habit?
So I think when you are having that 1 o'clock glass of wine at the end of each day, and then you find a day where you are waiting for it, and you are not going to be able to relax or be happy until you've had that glass or bottle, whatever it lands up being for you. There are obviously extreme cases where I know of women who are drinking alcohol spirits in the morning just to get through the hangover from the day before, which compounds where they carry on drinking and drinking throughout that day, which means the next day they're going to need to start their morning with another drink. So there, you've got a very serious problem where your moods are affected by it. You behave in a way that's irrational, or some people get very angry and say things that they shouldn't. Then they know about it from the people they've spoken to. And memory loss. A lot of people, especially women, will drink to a point where they can't remember what happened the night before. So when you start getting gaps in your memory, of what happened and you have to go and research to find out what happened, then you know that this is serious. There's obviously too much quantity going on.
And, the thing about it is that you keep insisting saying that it's casual. Most of the time, we who drink are very much using that as an excuse. I'm a casual drinker. I've heard it from myself. I've heard it from so many other people. And that's how we just try to excuse our drinking habits. How do you think we should actually notice that, you know what? This is becoming more serious, because most of the time we do believe that we are casual in our drinking. I've never heard anyone saying that I don't drink too much, I'm not an alcoholic. There is always that kind of denial, isn't there?
Absolutely. And when there are many, many full-fledged alcoholics who know somewhere inside themselves that they've got a very big problem, but they won't admit it to anybody else. So I've found that with my clients, a lot of people who are actually casual drinkers worry about it and think, is there a problem? Am I drinking too much? And then they'll stop for 3 weeks and realize, actually, I'm fine. I never thought about it once. But they need to almost prove that to themselves to see that they didn't have a problem to start with. It all depends on your I'm losing my word here. Your level of how much you can or can't drink.
Sure.
So some people can drink a bottle and they'll be okay, and some people will have 2 glasses and they're not. So you've got to analyze it within yourself and see, how am I behaving? Am I still a good mother, father, co-worker, whatever it is? Do I still relate to people correctly? Or is something suffering somewhere along the line?
Yeah, let's go back to wine o'clocking. How do you make sure that it stays as a casual thing? How do you regulate that if you are a casual drinker?
Again, it's got to be subjective, but I think when it's happening every day, or maybe, there are a lot of people who will drink on weekends and not during the week. And then there's the reverse where somebody will have 1 day off but drink 6 days a week. You've got to look at your behaviors. What are you doing? And can you change something in your day so that it doesn't become a wine o'clock day? Do anything that's different. Go for a walk. Have a bubble bath. Do something that's different, or avoid the function where you're going to be drinking again and again. There are industries where people are thrown into functions consistently and know that throughout the week it's too many times, and they're feeling bad and waking up bad so many times in a row that they have to start declining certain invitations.
Yeah, I'm a journalist. Tell me about it. All these functions that we invited to, it's crazy. I remember as a younger journalist, I had to kind of stop myself from actually going to these events all the time. And I think what you said earlier on is powerful there. Kerry, you were talking about find something else of relaxation, replace the 1 o'clock with something else, and see how well you'll do with the alternative. That's such a great advice that you're giving us there.
Absolutely. And the other trick that you can do when you are like in your profession where you at so many functions is cheat and get a wine glass and put appetizer in it and pretend that you're drinking wine, because people give you so much flack when they see that you don't have a drink, and they do.
That's true.
So you really need to lie about it and pretend you have a drink, just so you can get through a night or a function without having to be coerced into it.
And, there are stresses in life, and we do use alcohol as a way to unwind. We use alcohol as a way to escape, to deal with stress and anxiety. But there's a lot of myth making around that alcohol relaxes you. Over time, you learn that actually alcohol can add to the stress.
Absolutely. And it deeply affects your sleep quality. So people who have drinks on a certain night will notice that that night they toss and turn a lot. They're not getting quality sleep. And if you could measure it on a sleep, a smartwatch or something like that, you'll see that your sleep quality is not actually as good as you think it is. So we need sleep. We need to rest, repair, and digest when we sleep. And if you're not getting quality, once in a while is okay. But when it becomes a pattern, it's going to affect how you function.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about the work at Brain Harmonics, what you do there as we wrap up, and where people can find more around the work you do, Kerry.
Sure. So we do a brain map assessment. It's almost like taking a photo of your brain, the pathways, and where your brain's stuck in certain things. So your brain can do something where it locks into not letting go of a routine or a habit or a craving, or you might have depression markers or anxiety or anything like that. Once we have an assessment, we play your brain back to you as sound. So there's no input into your head in any way. Your brain gets to hear exactly how it's pulsing at each place. And by doing that, your brain can see where it's imbalanced and start to learn to self-regulate. So it's a much easier way of combating traumas and stresses and things that you've been through, where your brain rewires and into new neural pathways. So the habit of what you used to be doing is not a habit anymore. You're changing the way that you react to things, stresses or cravings even. Our webpage is www.brainharmonics.co.za, and all of our branches are listed on the website.
Well, thank you so much, Kerry. It sounds very, very intriguing. We've got a becoming feature. I don't know, maybe if we can come back for that, because I think this would be fantastic to speak about our ways of thinking and changing our repetitious habits. Maybe that would be another great conversation to have with you. But Kerry, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Benjamin.
That's Kerry Rootman from Brain Harmonics, who works with women battling with some addictions, those who keep some routines that are really bad. We know that 1 o'clock can be one of those routines that can actually get out of control. Or you like, no, Ben, I'm in control of the situation. I know my 1 o'clock is well managed. Give us your thoughts on that one. Well, it's 9:30 Central African time. Let's get going and get our sports update.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Good morning, guys. We begin with football news. Kenya's President Dr. William Ruto has urged the Harambee Stars to aim for the title on home soil as they gear up for their debut in the Total Energies African Nations Championship CHAN 2024. The head of state made a surprise visit to the national team's training base at the Moi Sports Center Kasarani Annex, where they were wrapping up their first week of residential training. During his visit, President Ruto pledged full government support to ensure the team performs at its best. Kenya is co-hosting the biennial competition alongside its African neighbors Uganda and Tanzania. The president also affirmed that Kenya is ready to welcome the continent, with the tournament's opening match set to take place in the beginning of next month. Head coach Benny McCarthy expressed his gratitude for the visit. Kenya have been placed in a tough Group A, where they will face two-time champions Morocco and DR Congo, as well as Angola and Zambia. And Nigeria's Super Falcons have returned to training barely 24 hours after their emphatic 5-0 quarterfinal victory over Zambia at the 2024 African Women's Nations Cup. Without taking a rest, the 9-time African champions hit the pitch on Sunday to begin preparations for their high-stakes semi-final clash against defending champion South Africa, scheduled for Tuesday. The encounter promises to be a thrilling battle between two of the continent's top sides, with a coveted place in the final on the line. In the second semi-final tournament, hosts Morocco will face Ghana. Winners from both ties will meet in the final, while the losing teams will contest the third-place match. On to athletics. South African sprint champions Akani Simbine competed alongside top-class sprinters at the London Diamond League meeting, where he was vying to win his fourth consecutive Diamond League Series title. However, the script was torn apart by Oblique Seville of Jamaica, who posted a dramatic victory in a sizzling 9.86 seconds. Our UK correspondent Gesho Mnyati asked Simbine after the race what is next for him.
For me, it's just to make sure that I'm getting race fit and race sharp and getting back to the legs moving. You know, we've been in a very big block of training right now for like 7 weeks, and now we're coming out with it. So, hey, we'll see how it goes for the rest of the season, but looking forward to it, and looking forward to champs in September.
In as far as the Diamond League is concerned, Simbine is the top athlete at the moment, and he's poised to win the top prize. But he says he's not there yet.
Not really. You have to run the Diamond League final to win the jackpot prize. But being on top, we've done 4 Diamond Leagues, 3 wins, and then this one was just a terrible one. But I know I'm guaranteed the final, and I'm happy about that. And now it's just to focus on, getting the legs moving and getting race sharp again.
And finally, with the rugby news, the British and the Irish Lions are off to a winning start in their rugby test series against Australia after defeating the hosts 27-19 in Brisbane. The Lions had the better of the first half, taking a 17-5 advantage into the dressing room, while the Wallabies salvaged some pride in the second half to give them hope for the next test. Across the Tasman Sea, New Zealand defeated France 29-19 in the third and the final test of the autumn series in Waikato to complete a clean sweep of the series. The home side had to claw their way back into the contest after France took a 19-10 lead in the opening half and a 19-17 advantage into halftime. New Zealand continued to fight back in the second half and secured the victory with less than 5 minutes left in the game. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Ngwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. This Mandela Month, we honor his belief that education is the most powerful weapon to change the world.
Education is one of the most important weapons in a country.
Catch us on DSTV Bouquet 802. Balisa and Benjamin fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
Thank you so much. Let's move on with our latest business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Good morning. I'm Nosipho Zuma in your business news this hour. The South African Trade Union Solidarity has described day one of its 2-week strike as successful after FlySafair confirmed several of its planes have been grounded amid a wage dispute. Now, this despite earlier reassurances that operations would not be affected by the start of the strike. FlySafair pilots have rejected the airline's 5.7% wage increase offer instead of their 10% increment. Solidarity's Deputy General Secretary Helgard Groenje.
Throughout last week and over the weekend, they indicated that there will be minimal impact. And then last night at about 10 o'clock, we saw on their website and on some of their social media platforms that they've indicated that a lot of flights are being cancelled. I quickly counted more than 20 flights that are being cancelled. So I think it's a very good indication that they aren't able to sustain their flight schedule. And to me, it seems as though they delayed it as late as possible to communicate that to the South African public.
South Africa is taking a decisive action against the ongoing foot and mouth disease outbreak affecting provinces including KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga, Gauteng, and the Free State Province. The Department of Agriculture, in partnership with the Agricultural Research Council and other key stakeholders, is hosting a high-level national endeavour today and tomorrow in Roodeplaat, Pretoria. The event brings together top veterinary and agricultural experts to develop long-term solutions aimed at eradicating the disease, which has severely impacted the red meat trade and livestock sector. Minister of Agriculture John Steenhuisen and Deputy Minister Nokuzola Xaba will lead discussions on strategies, including stricter biosecurity, vaccination and animal movement control. The founder of Karen Beef, a company, Dirk Verwoerd, comments.
The economic destruction that we at Karen Beef have experienced is enormous, and that has made a major impact on the availability of beef for the consumer and food security in general.
Mining company BHP Group has opted to sell its interest in the $2.5 billion Kabanga Nickel project in Tanzania to its partner Lifezone Metals for as much as $83 million. The NYSE-listed company will acquire BHP's 17% equity interest in Kabanga Nickel Limited, the majority owner of Kabanga Nickel project in northwestern Tanzania. The company issued a report on Friday that put development costs for the project at $2.49 billion It is expected to produce around 50,000 metric tons of nickel annually. Once fully ramped up, a process that will take 6 years, including construction. Oil prices are little changed as traders assess the impact of new European sanctions on Russia oil supply, while they also worry about tariffs possibly weakening fuel demand as Middle East producers are raising output. Brent crude futures fell 1 US cent to $69.27 a barrel after settling 0.35% lower on Friday. US West Texas Intermediate crude was at $67.44 a barrel, up 10 cents following a 0.30% decline in the previous session. And finally, China's shipments of rare earth magnets to the United States have jumped sharply in June. The rebound came after months of disruption and signaled renewed momentum in critical mineral trade between the two countries. The spike follows a June agreement aimed at easing tensions over the export of these strategically important materials, which are essential for electric vehicles, wind turbines, and other high-tech industries. Now, according to Chinese General Administration of Customs data released on Sunday, exports of rare earth magnets to the U.S. reached 353 metric tons in June, a more than seven-fold increase compared with May and a rise of 660%. Your financial indicators: $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,530 naira. In Botswana is 13.30. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shillings 71, and in Zambia is 23.08. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 579. Russia is 78 rubles 424. India is 86 rupees 14. China is 7 yuan 17, and in South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand 68. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,354 and platinum at $1,427 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $69.37 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipho Zuma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. On the move, weekdays, 9 a.m. to midday. Only on Channel Africa. #On the move. Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine. Weekdays, 6 till 9.
In recent weeks, East Africa has seen a disturbing rise in human rights violations. In Kenya, digital activist Rose Njeri was arrested under the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act after creating a tool for citizens to oppose the Finance Bill 2025. Meanwhile, in Tanzania, Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi and Ugandan lawyer Agatha Atuhaire reported being detained, tortured, and sexually assaulted by security officers.
East Africa needs a reset. We need to get back East Africa to where the founding fathers are. You know, when President Nyerere and his colleagues, Jomo Kenyatta and the Ugandan counterparts fought for independence, they fought for independence to get Africans out of poverty, to get Africans out of slavery. The leaders who took up power have since gotten into regression.
Neto Agostino, co-leader of the United Green Movement Party.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine. We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
SABC Sport brings you Chasing the Sun, a powerful 5-part documentary series about the Springboks, telling the rousing tale of their path to redemption and ultimate World Cup glory in 2019. Starting 13 July at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2, tune in every Sunday for the highs, the heartache, and the heroics that made rugby history. Stream each chapter on SABC Plus anytime, anywhere. No subscription needed. Don't miss Chasing the Sun this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2. Be there when history shines.
No time to waste. Be on the move with Benjamin Mushatama and Palisa Tau.
Holy Ghost fire, Holy Ghost fire, Holy Ghost fire, Holy Ghost fire. Sing and sing it.
Africa has a voice, and that voice is Channel Africa. It keeps you in motion, speaking, singing, questioning, rising. Wake up with Rise and Shine 6 till 9. Peter and Asanda as they bring you breaking news, sharp analysis, and the voices that shape the day. At mid-morning, we get on the move with Palisa and Benjamin, digging into the African lifestyle, people, and the things that make Africa smile. 12 till 1, Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, getting in-depth, powerful stories, and the perspective you won't hear anywhere else. The Upside, 1 till 4, live and real, with Tepuho Likweleni and Nompumelelo Ngubeni. Tame Ngubeni talks money, Africa in business, 4 till 5 p.m., 5 till 6. We put on a little bit more color. Vue d'Afrique with Joel Moteba. We go to East and Central Africa and find Darubinia Africa with I Am Shakif. Madapiri gives us some life. Zochi Tika, 7 till 8 p.m. Maria Mokumalo comes in 8 till 9. We get some useful knowledge. Kalodiscopia, 9 till 10. We take a look in Africa and beyond. Africa World Hour with Sipiso Makwetla. And we close it up with some love. The Hotlines with Shailen Dikumana, 10 till 12 p.m. on Channel Africa. Across borders, across time zones, on air, online. This is Channel Africa.
Hey guys, so it's about 30 minutes before we have to go onto the show and go live, and we're just having our own little briefing session with the team. We've got our producer in the background, Unsako. We've got my amazing co-host, Mateko Mosito.
Also, I'm not amazing.
We've got Unsako that side. And we just, just getting our ducks in a row for the show. Once we go live, there's no turning back. You make mistakes, we make them on air, but we try our best to prepare and ensure that we don't do that when we go on. And when we do, and we laugh about it, guys, we're only human. But this is how it looks like when we're just getting ready for the show. Enjoy. Here we go. Mix. Let's go. Come on. Let the creative juices flow.
The tree, what's at the bottom of it?
The root.
Thank you. If I'm not excited, like I'm just sitting around, I have nothing to do.
Bored.
Thank you. If it's not mist, it's mist. If it's not mist in the morning, you can't see the road. It's like a cloud.
Bright and early in the morning.
Like
sometimes your brain experiences.
It rhymes with dog.
Fog.
Thank you. I don't know this one.
This one, guys. Hi, guys. Come on.
What is this? When I'm doing this, thank you. Yeah, no, yeah. You're so
funny.
Thank you.
Alright.
Nice and easy, clean. Don't forget what caught your eye at 22.
Yes.
And then, yeah, we're good.
Fantastic.
23, my love.
Oh, okay. Show your name on it.
Yeah.
Rwanda, stand up. This one is called Gologosa, kickstarting our Monday morning. Having a conversation about wine o'clock, but actually the larger conversation really is about our reliance sort of on alcohol consumption, but also that has been masked as a way to relax, as a way to keep calm at the end of the day, as a way to take care of yourself, as a form of luxury as well. We go and have alcohol to say, yeah, I deserve it. I've had such a long day. Oh, I deserve it. I live such a busy life. oh, I deserve it to relax and just be okay. But we overlook some of the underlying issues, like the pressures of modern life that overwhelm us, like stress and anxiety, and some of the deeper struggles that we face. And what we're actually doing is using alcohol as a form of masking all the things that we do go through. So we had a great chat there with Kerry Rudman, who also speaks about, taking care. Today is World Brain Day, by the way. When I got into studio to let the morning show know what's coming up on the show, I realized that Peter and Asanda were speaking about that. And this also sort of, ties into that conversation in a big way, because what we think is harmless, at last here, at last there, can sometimes become, first of all, a daily consumption, even if you just have one glass, which for many is almost impossible or quite hard to do, to just have one glass and let it go.
Yeah.
But this also affects not just, your mental health, but it's affecting your body at the same time. Your brain being, one of the most important organ in your body.
Yeah.
And of course, all your other organs. So you're actually further exacerbating some of the struggles that you already face and adding new struggles on top of that.
Even when you are drinking casually, I think people take it for granted how much they are drinking. You always have to revisit also the intention why you are drinking. Is it for social reasons? And even if it's for social reasons, why am I socializing in a way that I have to drink more and more and more and more and more so that I can be in a space whereby I'm with the people that are in my life? What happens if you're not drinking? Are those people going to be in your life as well?
Yeah.
So there's so many reasons that you have to start investigating why you are drinking. Why do you find yourself in a position where you are having that sip? Because it should be a big decision that you are making. Drinking alcohol, I think we take it very lightly, but I think we should start thinking more and more, especially because we socialize a lot around alcohol and we don't ask ourselves why.
100%. Well, let's find out from you, especially if you also call yourself a casual drinker. Do you ever think about the reasons behind why you're having, if it's just that one glass at home, or you have to have a glass, with colleagues or friends after work or during the weekend? Are you a casual drinker, and what does that actually mean? What is a non-casual drinker, and which ones of us say, yeah, I'm a non-casual drinker, I'm actually an alcoholic? I've never heard anybody say they're not a casual drinker, but everyone has different drinking patterns. So what exactly is casual drinking, and what does it mean? It's 9:50 Central Africa time. You can join us in this conversation at Channel Africa 1. That's where you can find us on our social media platforms, and our WhatsApp number is +27 63 406 9126.
Si vous êtes un artiste promoteur qui cherche à présenter sa musique à un public plus large, ou qui cherche simplement à promouvoir sa musique à la radio, nous pouvons vous aider. Mais vous pouvez faire certaines choses pour augmenter vos chances de succès. Envoyez-nous votre musique à musique@channelafrica.co.za. Nous avons besoin des informations suivantes pour vous aider au mieux. Étiquetez code ISRC, titre, interprète, compositeur, éditeur, auteur, langue et genre. Écoutez votre chanson à la radio, la bande sonore parfaite pour votre journée. Avec Channel Africa et votre musique, vous ne vous ennuierez jamais, car nous jouerons votre musique. Découvrez le meilleur de la musique africaine avec Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. Benjamin Mushatama and Palisatawu on the move.
Yo! Coming to you all the way from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa, this glorious Thursday afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube. And of course, if you have DSTV, it's 802 OpenView channel 628. Download the SABC Plus app so you can take us with you wherever you go. Good afternoon to you, Mateko. How are you doing this afternoon?
My dearest, I am happy that you got the memo that this show is wearing black today. Our social media specialist is wearing black.
Excellent.
Our madame producer is in black. You are in black. I'm in black. I love it for us.
Black.
All black.
We actually need to do a photo shoot.
And actually,
After the
a
show.
group photo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
group photo.
with all black everything. Hello there, my name is Matsako Musito and I am contributing as co-host on a show called The Upside here on Channel Africa. We are in your company wherever you are on the African region between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. in Central African time.
Hey guys, Tebohole Kuleni here from the Upside team on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Join us every single weekday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central African time for the ultimate afternoon drive show.
Bringing you lifestyle, news and views and opinion, most importantly, because that matters always, hey? So catch us on air. I, of course, work with the wonderful Tebohole Kuleni and we are very happy to be here, so join us.
Africa has a voice, and that voice is Channel Africa. It keeps you in motion, speaking, singing, questioning, rising. Wake up with Rise and Shine 6 till 9. Peter and Asanda as they bring you breaking news, sharp analysis, and the voices that shape the day. At mid-morning, we get on the move with Palisa and Benjamin, digging into the African lifestyle, people, and the things that make Africa smile. 12 till 1, Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, getting in-depth, powerful stories, and the perspective you won't hear anywhere else. The Upside, 1 till 4, live and real, with Tebohole Kuleni and Matseko Musito. Tamengo Bene talks money, Africa in business, 4 till 5 p.m., 5 till 6. We put on a little bit more.
One titled Your Number. It's 55 minutes past 9 o'clock Central African time. You're listening to the best of the African content, and we're broadcasting live from Johannesburg, South Africa. We've been speaking about drinking. You know, drinking is something that I like doing, and most of the time we don't speak about it a lot. So when you actually like drinking alcohol, it's probably one of the most difficult things to actually do because you have to navigate a whole lot. Number one, what I've noticed with drinking, and something that we ignore a lot, is our health. We drink, right? And then we feel like groggy and we feel whatever. And it's like a thing that we like, it's part of drinking. It's the whole thing that we do. You're going to have a papalaza. We call that a papalaza in South Africa. It's which when you have a huge headache the next day, right? And you are like, okay, this is what comes with alcohol. But, you know, there are so many things behind our health and alcohol that we don't actually consider. In fact, I think alcohol is the only thing that we allow ourselves to get us sick. And we're okay with it. We're like, okay, it makes me sick, but I'm okay with that part.
And that's actually quite a great observation,
Yeah.
Ben, because we intentionally know that from alcohol, if I drink this amount of alcohol, I'm probably going to get a hangover.
Yeah.
Being sick is not good. We know that. It means something is wrong with your body. But alcohol consumption is the only thing that we really anticipate sickness, and we continue to do it anyway.
Yeah, and with everything else, you'll actually go and ask, like, why am I feeling this way? Probably go to the doctor. I've got a headache. I've got these constant headaches that are happening, and I drink water. But with alcohol, you don't do that.
No, there's
Yeah.
no doctor. I mean,
No.
some people go as far as like they can't eat. They'll be, vomiting. They'll have, so many other symptoms.
Yeah.
And it's quite scary that we completely ignore the harm that is taking place in our body simply because we would rather drink the alcohol. And I'm not saying this definitely from a pedestal. It's like, whoa, actually, it's quite an enlightening statement.
Yeah, and I've noticed that with myself, and I'm like, why am I putting myself through this? I mean, I do enjoy a glass of wine. It tastes okay, right?
Yeah.
It tastes decent, I do love wine, but afterwards, I'm like, really, was that taste worth what I'm feeling right now?
Yeah.
Like, do they actually compare to one another? I don't think they do. I think the wine might taste okay, but at times with that bad feeling the next morning.
And when you
For days. I mean, I'm 40 now.
Yeah. Also, because the older you get, like
Yeah.
the hangover isn't just like, oh, today in the morning I'm going to drink this and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
You actually are left with the remnants of that alcohol consumption for days after.
Yeah.
So you might not have the headache the next day, but you still feel tired. You might
Mhm.
still feel groggy and not, at your best.
Oh, that was Siri. Siri's
Siri
doing,
telling you
yeah.
that, you should definitely not be drinking as much alcohol
You were
as
saying,
do.
Pali, sorry?
Yeah, I mean, we are okay with that. We're
Mhm.
okay with feeling all the remnants of alcohol consumption. And, I was asking the question earlier about the casual drinking.
Yeah.
We all, in the circle of people that we know and our friends, know some friends that might drink a little bit more
Mhm.
and some who drink a little bit less, some who don't drink at all. But even in that entire circle, with the amount of consumption that we see, there is sometimes a friend that you're like, this one drinks a lot.
Yeah.
But even that friend calls themselves a casual drinker.
Yeah.
So if we're all casual drinkers,
Mhm.
are we saying that we are the same? Are you the same with that friend that you secretly judge and say, this one drinks a lot? I think they're going through problems and they use alcohol as their stress, but they don't see their problem. They say, yeah, I'm a casual drinker, but so do you. Is someone else looking at you and saying,
the same thing. That's the thing
you have a
about
problem.
drinkers. It's like you always assess yourself according to your fellow drinkers.
Yeah.
That's not really healthy, is it?
It's not. It's
Yeah.
not really healthy at all. But let's chat about it. I mean, it is something that is quite popular and it seems quite trendy
Mhm.
and it seems okay to do. I mean, even if you see the vlogs now on social media,
Yeah.
there's always a glass of wine. It makes it seem like you live a beautiful, luxurious life.
Yeah.
Why is alcohol so
Yeah.
closely associated with being trendy, being luxurious and
Relaxing.
relaxing
Mhm.
and feeling good? Hey, they're happening. It's definitely not from a pedestal because a lot of us are alcohol consumers and many of us don't actually think about the conversation of alcohol beyond just enjoying your
Mhm.
drink the way that you do. But we're moving on into the next hour of the show. It's 10 a.m. Central Africa time. Let's get our latest news update.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Balisa. Top stories this hour. The fifth ordinary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament to open this morning, and a prominent Kenyan human rights activist expected to appear in court. Good morning. The fifth ordinary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament would officially open in Midrand, Johannesburg, South Africa this morning. The session will be held under the African Union theme for 2025, Justice for Africans and People of African Descent through Reparations. Nhlanhla Mahlangu has the story.
The opening ceremony will be officiated by President of the Pan-African Parliament, Chief Fortune Charumbira. The event will feature a keynote address by guest of honor Professor Miguel Cesar Domingos Pembe, Ambassador of Angola in Ethiopia and Chairperson of the African Union's Permanent Representative Committee. Other guests include South Africa's Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperations, Thandi Moraga, amongst others. Reporting for Channel Africa, I am Nhlanhla Mahlangu in Johannesburg.
Senior Communication Officer at the Kenya Human Rights Commission, Ernest Connell, says the charges against arrested prominent human rights activist Boniface Mwangi will not stand in court. Mwangi was arrested at the weekend on suspicion of facilitating terrorist acts linked to deadly anti-government protests last month. The Directorate of Criminal Investigation said on X that detectives had arrested Mwangi at his home in Machakos County at the weekend and had seized 2 unused tear gas canisters and 1 7.62mm blank round, along with 2 mobile phones, a laptop and notebooks. In addition, Mwangi is also due to be arraigned for unlawful possession of ammunition. Colonel says Kenyans will attend in solidarity with Mwangi.
We expect, of course, the Director of Public Prosecution to see through the scheme that the government is employing, to see through it that these are malicious charges. These are charges that won't stand any test of law, and these are charges that cannot be prosecuted. And therefore, we expect that the DPP will have this case dropped immediately.
16 suspected foreign nationals are expected to appear before the Pilgrim's Rest Periodical Court in South Africa's Mpumalanga province for contravention of the Immigration Act. The suspects, aged between 18 and 42, were arrested during police's Operation Vala Umkoti in Pilgrim's Rest yesterday. They were allegedly found without valid documentation to be in the country. Police spokesperson Captain Mpho Nonyanimbe says they are working with the Home Affairs Department to verify the status of the arrested suspects. Meanwhile, 15 Zamazamas are expected to appear in the Barberton Magistrates Court for alleged possession of explosives. They were also arrested during Operation Vala Umkoti. They are facing charges that include illegal mining. The Human Sciences Research Council in South Africa, HSRC, says if prosecutorial action is not taken to meet public expectations, then there will be an erosion of confidence in commissions of inquiries. This comes after President Cyril Ramaphosa instituted a Judicial Commission of Inquiry to investigate allegations relating to the infiltration of law enforcement, intelligence and associated institutions within the criminal justice system by criminal syndicates. Earlier this month, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi publicly stated that there are criminal syndicates infiltrating police. Police Minister Senzo Mchunu has since been placed on leave of absence. The HRC's Dr. Benjamin Roberts explains the research they've conducted about commissions of inquiries.
We've actually done in-depth research on attitudes towards the Zondo Commission. We've done about 3 or 4 years of in-depth assessment of public views towards that particular commission of inquiry. And it is along the lines of what you thought. The public is generally favourable towards the way the commission handled itself procedurally, are favourable in terms of some of the recommendations. They're very concerned, however, about implementation of those recommendations. There are lingering issues about whether these commissions are deemed to be value for money.
Pope Leo has used his weekly Angelus address to condemn an Israeli strike on a Catholic church in the Gaza City. 3 people died and several were injured, including the parish priest, in the strike on the Holy Family Church compound in Gaza City on Thursday. Photos show the roof hit close to the main cross, scorching the stone facade and shattering windows. Pope Leo described it as an indiscriminate use of force and called for an end to the violence.
Chiedo nuovamente che si fermi subito la barbarie della guerra.
I call again for an immediate halt to the barbarity of the war and a peaceful resolution of the conflict.
For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo Webe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Hey, we've started on a very, very good note, but we're moving into the second hour of the show. It is 6 minutes past 10 o'clock Central African time. We're broadcasting from Johannesburg, and you are listening to us anywhere on the African continent and abroad. Remember, you can find us on the SABC Plus app, and just download it on any app store. But also you can use it on your desktop. Just go to the website, sabcplus.com. You definitely going to find us there. Mondays are one of our favorites because we have our heated debate. They're always full of drama. They're always full of contestation. They're always full of interesting insights from our guests. And this one is a very interesting conversation because it is a big debate that we're having all the time here without a real outcome that is really convincing. And the question we're asking today, is polygamy more honest than monogamy in African relationships? I don't know why we're asking this one, but it's an interesting one indeed.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
And
what makes it interesting for you, Bali?
I think what makes it interesting for me is that, polygamy does get a lot of backlash, right? As, especially here on the African continent, because usually it's closely associated to some people's cultures. But if you look at just polygamy, it's not really a cultural thing. It is a decision that people can make. It's a relationship form that people can choose. Monogamy is also a choice for many people. But a lot of people think that it's just a way for people, particularly men on the African continent, to have multiple women, to cheat, to do as they please. And others who are for polygamy say, actually, it's just a form of, this is the relationship that I conform to. And I'm just being honest to the people that I'm with that I want to marry multiple people. And there are people who are monogamous, but they cheat on their partners continuously. So they obviously don't, really use they use monogamy as an excuse, but they still do things on the side. They're not being completely honest with their partner. So I think it's quite an intriguing conversation and an intriguing question, because maybe people do think that polygamy is much more honest, whereas monogamy is just something that people think is nice, that people adhere to, that is like a societal confirmation, but people are not being honest both with themselves but also with their partners and their societies and their communities about what they really want. So is it really that way, or are we just having an excuse to say polygamy is better or is right?
Yeah, well, that's going to be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to hear what side A, side B says, and we're going to have two guests who are going to join us in a few minutes' time, so that should be a good one. And we want to get your thoughts as well. Remember, give us your insights on that one. What do you think? Are you for polygamy or are you for monogamy? And do you think one is better than the other? Remember, we can get your insights via our WhatsApp number on +276 406 9126. That's where we'll get hold of you there. It's 10 minutes past 10 o'clock Central African time. Looking forward to the debate. It's coming up just in a few minutes' time.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri kamlondola wazochitika pena paliponse.
Unduna wa zamalonda kumalawi waletsa kampani yopanga shuga ya Ilovo yomwe ndi nthambi ya Ilovo Sugar Group Limited kuti isiye kutumiza shuga kumaiko akunja. Malingana ndi nduna ya zamalonda Vitumbuko Mumba, izi zithandiza kuti shuga yemwe yakusowa pamsika azipezeka. Ndiye pano ndili ndi George Muhangu amene ali mu mzinda wa Blantyre mu dziko la Malawi. Chimene chikupangitsa kuti shuga azisowa ndi chani?
Chomwe chikupangitsa kuti shuga azisowa ndichonena kuti panopo ili ngati off season ya makampani a Ilovo Sugar Malawi, kunena kuti sakutha kupanga shugayi okwanira chifukwa akukolola. Ndiye akamaliza kukolola pameneno atayambeno sopano kugaya shugayi kuti azipezeka. Chinanso ndichonena kuti ma distributors amene akumakagula shuga kaya ndi ku Ilovo kaya ndi kusalima shuga akumagulisa kumaiko akunja ngati Zambia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Mozambique.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo pa Channel Africa.
Start your day right with Channel Africa Breakfast.
That smells delicious.
Live 5 days a week.
On the move, weekdays, 9 a.m. to midday.
Only on Channel Africa. #On the move. Channel Africa and you have got something in common. The thirst for knowledge.
All right, let's look at our debate today. We're looking at an interesting one. It's the Africa view. Is polygamy more honest than monogamy in African relationships? As relationship dynamics evolve, some argue that polygamy openly acknowledges human desires, while others believe monogamy remains the gold standard for commitment and stability. And we're going to be having two sides on this one. Side A is going to say polygamy is more honest than monogamy, and obviously side B is going to say the opposite of that. Polygamy is said to align with many African traditions, and I'm not quite sure if that's actually true, but maybe side B will actually look at that because on the opposite side, others would say that monogamy fosters deep emotional intimacy with one partner. I don't know if that's true as well, so we'll get our guest to speak on this one. Is going going to be an interesting one. Well, let's find out what both our guests think on this one. We've got Sipilile Buthelezi and Renee Hlahle, who's joining us as well for this one. They're everyday people who are having a conversation with us on this one. They both have strong views on this one. Let me start with our first guest, who is going to tell us a little bit about this. What's your take?
Good morning to you, and good morning to your listeners. I think maybe for starters, one will open by saying that polygamy is not foreign to Africans. Polygamy has been there for years and years, thousands of years, and it can be traced as far as biblical. You can also trace polygamy. So if you look at our father of faith, you look at, in fact, majority of the men that even biblically that found favor in God, that were used by God, had more than one wife. To recent, our forefathers had more than one wife. So it is African, it's not new, and it's unfortunate that people will look at polygamy and associate it with what they normally see on TV nowadays, and make conclusion and forget that what you see on TV, some of the things have been exaggerated. Some of the things that are said on TV are not true. And also, it is to create a reality show that people can talk about, and then it generates revenue. So really, polygamy is not what you see on TV. But you get to know polygamy from people like ourselves who come from families that actually have, for example, we had 21 grandmothers at home. So 21. So one of the grandfathers had 21 wives. And those are the people that can be a sort of a reference when you want to know about polygamy, but not what you see on TV. On TV, it's generation of revenue, and that's what it is. So that's what I want to say for now.
Okay, thank you for your opening statement, Sipile. Before I come to you, Renee, I actually want to bring in sort of like something in a spanner in the woodwork in the spanner here, or a spanner in the woodwork here, because we're speaking about polygamy as opposed to monogamy, and polygamy in its own is a practice of being married to more than one person. But polygamy is a statement that refers to both men and women. It's an umbrella statement. That means polygamy is a practice that both men and women can do, which is, a statement that I'm saying because usually when we think about polygamy, we only think about a man taking multiple wives. But the umbrella term of polygamy actually says that it also refers to women taking on multiple men or multiple husbands. And then we come into the subcategories where polygyny is one man with multiple wives and polyandry being one woman with multiple husbands. For someone like you who agrees with polygamy, Sipile, do you also agree with the polygamy or polyandry of women taking multiple husbands under all the statements that you've put through?
For me, I wouldn't be able I would not be in a position to comment on a practice that is foreign to who I am. We've never had that as Africans. I have no reference of it. So therefore, it's very difficult for me to be able to comment on that. It's foreign. It's never been done. In fact, and not without even marriage. It's foreign to us as Africans, even for a woman to have more than one boyfriend.
Well, it is actually not foreign. It is not actually foreign. Think about
when I say foreign, I mean that the name the names that are used to describe such, they are more derogatory names than names that make it look good. That's what I mean. So for example, there's no name that is used to describe such a female or a woman that, in fact, it's more of a swear word than anything else, to be honest. So that's why I say it's foreign. It has never been something that is put as a good practice.
Sure.
Okay. Obviously, there's a debate about that. And if you want to look at today's society and talk about equality and all of that, then you'll have a different debate altogether.
Yeah.
But if you,
sure.
Yeah.
I hear you say that. I want to bring in Renee just to actually correspond to your initial thoughts there, because you're saying you are supporting polygamy from a male perspective, and you might have differences in terms of what it means when it comes to women actually participating in polygamy. Renee, what are your thoughts on polygamy being more honest than monogamy?
Okay. Let me start by greeting you. Good morning, and good morning to your listeners as well. Thank you for having me. So in terms of honesty, I believe that, monogamy, it does promote that emotional intimacy. And what emotional intimacy does is that it creates safety and security psychologically within the individuals involved. And that is beneficial on a wellness basis. So if you feel safe and secure, there is no need to deceive or to do anything that could put the wellness of the person that you are in a partnership with in jeopardy, if I could put it that way. Monogamy is more honest in the sense that there is only one person to prioritize. And the giving and the receiving within a monogamous relationship is a lot more balanced. So the structure can survive when one is giving, the other is receiving, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And also, speaking on what I think it's Sipile, I'm sorry if I'm getting it incorrect. He was speaking about how it's traditional and it's something that has existed for many, many years. We also need to accept and acknowledge that we as a people, African people, we are evolving, and it is okay for us to adopt new ways of relating to one another that are healthier for all parties involved, that consider everybody who is involved.
That's an interesting take. I'll come back to that, Renee, after the break, because someone else could argue and say, look, if someone is being open and putting their cards on the table and saying, I want another wife, I want another husband, I'm being honest to the partner that I'm with, and I'm setting the record straight, where in monogamy, maybe people hide that other side wife or whatever they call it, side chick, and they aren't honest in that. So some people could argue that polygamy actually puts everything out there and monogamy doesn't. I'd like to get your thoughts on that, Renee. I'm sure Sipila will say the same, support my views on that one, but it's not actually a view. It's just a side that I'm thinking as I'm listening to your response. We're asking this important question: is polygamy more honest than monogamy in African relationships? Give us your thoughts, and you can definitely give us your thoughts on our WhatsApp number. You can text us or voice note us there, +2763 406 9126. Let's take a break. We'll come back to the Africa View. It's heated, this debate. Let's find out more what is going to be happening after the break that we're going to right now.
Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter? Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard? Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126, and we will call you back so you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So that's who I am,
It's not just talk. It's your chance to air your views, share your opinion, engage with a community that values your perspective. Follow us on our social media. Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. Keeping you on the know and on the move.
It's the African View debate right here on The Move. And today we're asking the question, is polygamy more honest than monogamy? We have two of our guests who participate in this debate today, Siphile Buthelezi and Renee Hlahle, who are on either side of this particular debate. Siphile saying polygamy aligns with many African traditions, that polygamy acknowledges that some people have the capacity to love or be attracted to more than one person, and that if practiced ethically, it does allow for choice and consent. Whereas Renee says monogamy fosters deep emotional intimacy with one partner, as well as it thrives in polygamy thrives in patriarchal systems. We're going to be hearing a little bit more of their thoughts. I'm just giving you a quick rundown of their opening statements. Let's come back to you, Siphile. You speak a little bit about people having the capacity to love or be attracted to more than one person. This is obviously a view that is human, not particularly with a poly or monogamous. A person can have the capacity if they know it. But let's come back to the term of honesty. How can polygamy be practiced in an ethical way where honesty is at the top of the conversation? Siphile, are you there? Okay, it seems like we've lost Siphile in the conversation. I'll come to you, Renee, and look at your thoughts while we try and get Siphile back. You speak about, how polygamy is thriving under patriarchal systems. And we know that some of these systems are harmful to women, are dishonest to women, and it brings us back to that honesty conversation. Could you continue to align your statements on monogamy?
Absolutely. Polygamy puts the goals, the needs, and the desires of the male at the center of the universe for everyone who is involved. And women are seen as possessions and status symbols whose value is increased or decreased depending on how well they suppress themselves and how well they serve the needs, desires, and goals of that patriarch. It completely ignores the fact that these women that are involved in this relationship are individuals. They do have a personal journey and something personal to them to contribute, but it is celebrated and they are valued higher when they put that aside and they serve the needs of one person. And it's almost as if who they can be, the fullness of their potential is irrelevant. And what needs to be prioritized is the needs and also the quantity of what the man would like to achieve and what he would like to do for his life. And the pouring back, I spoke about giving and receiving earlier on, and that balanced relationships are about giving and receiving. So if all the giving is going in one direction and the other side is not receiving, the structure is bound to collapse. It doesn't have a balance. Yeah.
All right, we'll come back to you. And I think I'd like us later to also, come back to the view that Benjamin had earlier on, people saying they're monogamous, choosing this monogamous relationship type, and then going ahead to lie to people, to be dishonest to people, to have other partners on the side simply because they're too afraid to speak about their desires outside of the monogamy. Maybe speak to us about that really quickly before we bring back Siphile.
Okay, so I think, that comes down to a person's moral standing. It depends on so many other factors as to, how are they taught about respecting other people that they are in relationship with. So if it is taught to them that to respect someone is to deceive them, it is something that they grow up with. And even when they are dishonest or they lie, in their mind, it can be justified as, but this is a form of respect. So it is something that needs to be taught. It's something that they need to be brought into awareness of, that to respect someone and to value someone is to be honest with them and also get to the bottom of why you desire to have multiple partners. Is it greed? is it a quantity thing or is it a quality thing? Are you actually receiving quality in those side relationships, or are you greedy? Are you bored? Because most of the time when people step out of their monogamous relationships, it is due to boredom or due to greed. It's never usually due to the fact that they are not receiving what it is that is needed within the monogamous partnership. So getting to the bottom of a person's why can actually help people understand more of their behaviors.
All right, Siphile, let's bring you back into the conversation. We're speaking about honesty here, and what makes any relationship type honest is an openness from all partners and, really free consent from everyone who participates. Is this something that's common in polygamous relationships? Because from what we see in the media, and in many other places, there is sort of perception that we've come to see from those who are polygamous, men in particular, as we've spoken in context of this conversation, who have a wife and then later on say to the wife, hey, actually, I'm more polygamous and now I'm going to bring in more wives. And that would not be the relationship status that partner had consented to in the beginning.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's important to deal with an assumption out there that women who are in polygamous marriages, they are not individuals, they are not respected, their views are irrelevant. I'm not sure where that comes from. Again, sometimes we comment on issues of polygamy without having sat down or having a first-hand experience on polygamy. I'll make an example. When I met my wife, before we even dated, on the first date, on our first date, I told her that, one, if we date and we eventually get married, she will not be the only wife. This was our first date, okay? And then I said to her, I'm saying this so that if we date and we end up getting married, it doesn't matter how many years of dating, I do not want her to be surprised when I say that I then want a second wife or a third wife, okay? So we went away, and then when we had our second date, then she said, okay, it's fine, I'm game. We started dating, okay? So now I was honest with her from day one. And whoever that knows Siphile Buthelezi, they will know I'm openly talking about polygamy and the good side of it. So I would say that a polygamous man who tells the wife right at the beginning and open about what he wants to do in future, that's an honest man compared to a man in a monogamous relationship. We need to also be practical. There's a reason why there's a term side chicks. We need to be practical. There are men, on their day of a funeral, kids are introduced. That's a reality that we live.
Yeah.
So we cannot be here and pretend as if that out of 5 men, 4 men are monogamous. We cannot do that. We need to be realistic and say, out of 5 men around our families, friends, the reality is that if they've been married for 3 years, maybe 4 of those men or 3 of those men have been with somebody else. And then it brings the question is monogamy really, really practically possible from the creation of man? Is it possible? Because it's like people who are bisexual, people who are homosexual. They get forced to marry because I'm expected by my society to have a wife.
Yeah.
I'm expected by society, and that is not practical. The reality is that there are many gay and lesbian individuals.
All right,
who've been
Sipile,
married
I have to
before
stop
with
you
a
there.
relationship.
Apologies there. We have run out of the time for now. Stay on the line, though. We'll come back after our news break and continue this debate. And the views are really quite compelling from both of you. We'll hear more from Renee and Sipile. For now, let's get our latest sports news.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
In this hour, in our sports update, we begin with the golf news as we tee off with Scottie Scheffler romping home to a magnificent 4-shot victory to seal his first Open Championship title at the Royal Portrush on Sunday, notching his 4th major success. The world number 1 eased to a 3-under par final round of 68, finishing on 17 under for the tournament after shooting in the 60s on all 4 days. Scheffler says it feels special to win.
It's a very special feeling. It takes a lot of work to get to this point in my career, and this was a tough week. It was challenging. The golf course was playing really tough, and I had to focus very hard over the course of the weekend. And really the only blemish over the last 36 holes was the double on 8, but did a good job of kind of resetting and coming back with a birdie on 9. And I guess this one was different than the PGA in terms of I had a decent lead to start the day, but PGA I felt like I struggled a little bit on the front 9, and then was able to kind of push forward and win it on the back 9. Whereas this one I felt like I built up a lead. It got a little close there after the double on 8, but like I said, bounced back on 9 and was able to keep a pretty sizable lead for most of the day.
Rory McIlroy could not hide his admiration towards Scottie Scheffler after the American stormed to victory in the Open Championship at Royal Portrush.
None of us could hang with Scottie this week. He's an incredible player. He's been dominant this week, but honestly, he's been dominant for the last couple of years. He is the bar that we're all trying to get to. And, in a historical context, you could argue that there's only maybe 2 or 3 players in the history of the game that have been on a run the one that Scottie's been on here for the last sort of 24 to 36 months. So incredibly impressive. Yeah, he's a very worthy winner. And but also he's a great person, and I think he's a wonderful ambassador for our game as well. So I'm really happy for him and Meredith and his family.
On to football news, Kenya's President William Ruto has urged the Harambee Stars to aim for the title on home soil as they gear up for their debut in the Total Energies African Nations Championship CHAN 2024. The head of state made a surprise visit to the national team's training base at the Moi Sports Center Kasarani Annex, where they were wrapping up their first week of residential training. During his visit, President Ruto pledged full government support to ensure the team performs at its best. Kenya is co-hosting the biennial competition alongside East African neighbors Uganda and Tanzania. The president also affirmed that Kenya is ready to welcome the continent with the tournament's opening match set to take place in the beginning of next month. Head coach Benny McCarthy expressed his gratitude for the visit, and Kenya have been placed in a tough Group A where they will face 2-time champions Morocco and DR Congo, as well as Angola and Zambia. Let's end with tennis news. It is Hamburg Ladies Open. The French woman had already proven her ability on clay, where she said she reached the semi-final at Roland Garros last month. That was on show once again at this week's 250 level tournament at AM Rotenbaum in Hamburg. For any sports stories that you'd like to share with us, please do send an email at channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. This Mandela Month, we honor his belief that education is the most powerful weapon to change the world.
Education is one of the most important weapons in a country.
Catch us on DSTV Bouquet 802. Step into the heart of the day on the move with Palisa and Benjamin.
Thank you, Fikile Lungwati, for that sports update. Let's get our latest in business with Nosipho Zuma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Palisa. Good morning. In your business news, Sasawa, artificial intelligence won't take over human jobs, but people who know how to use AI effectively just might. Now, that's according to Director of the Good Work Foundation, South African and United Kingdom boards, Musidi Mudise. She says If anything, AI will create more jobs.
Looking at what organizations like the World Economic Forum are saying is that no, AI is unlikely to replace us. What it is doing, however, is changing how we work and how we get things done. In fact, the Future of Jobs report that the WEF published in 2025 predicts that AI will create a whopping 170 million new jobs globally by 2030, even while it shifts around 92 million existing ones. So there's actually a huge net gain. And the real change, I think, is that AI is just taking over very mundane, repetitive, routine jobs, freeing us to think around more complex, creative things.
The South African trade union Solidarity says FlySafair has refused to negotiate in good faith to resolve the pilot strike, which started this morning. The union says the strike, which was initially planned for only 1 day, has been extended to 14 days after FlySafair decided to lock out the striking pilots for an extended period. Solidarity has rejected FlySafair's 5.7% offer and is demanding 10.5% for the 2025-2026 financial year. Solidarity's General Secretary Gideon du Plessis.
But we also said if there's no settlement on the roster issue, maybe we can go back to the pilots and say, listen, if they give you 10%, will you then accept that to soften the blow, at least financially? And they said, no, we need more rest and we need more time with our families. Our intention was a one-day strike to disrupt the passengers just for 1 day. The response from FlySafair was then a 7-day lockout notice and another 7 days on top of it, which we don't accept.
Meanwhile, FlySafair Chief Marketing Officer Kirby Garden says the 12% of their flights have been cancelled. Garden has rejected claims that 90% of their pilots are part of the strike.
The vast majority of flights are still going to be operated on time as per schedule, but there are about 12%. All details of those flights are available on the travel updates page on our website at flysafair.co.za. Unfortunately, the union has been misrepresenting the numbers, obviously, to try and pursue a sensationalist view. So when Solidarity reports that 9 out of 10 pilots are striking, that's actually inaccurate. The reality is that only 2/3 of the pilot base are actually represented by the unions.
Mining company BHP Group has opted to sell its interest in the $2.5 billion Kabanga Nickel project in Tanzania to its partner Lifezone Metals for as much as $83 million. The NYSE-listed company will acquire BHP's 17% equity interest in Kabanga Nickel Limited, the majority owner of the Kabanga Nickel project in northwestern Tanzania. The company issued a report on Friday that put development costs for the project at $2.49 billion. It is expected to produce around 50,000 metric tons of nickel annually once fully ramped up, a process that will take 6 years, including construction. A final investment decision on the project is due next year. BHP had agreed in 2022 to make an investment of as much as $100 million in the nickel mine and processing facilities if certain conditions were met. And finally, oil prices were little changed as traders assess the impact of new European sanctions on Russian oil supplies, while they also worry about tariffs possibly weakening fuel demand as Middle East producers are raising output. Brent crude futures dropped 10 US cents to $69.18 a barrel after settling 0.35% lower on Friday. US West Texas Intermediate crude was at $67.33 a barrel, down 1 cent, following a 0.30% decline in the previous session. Your financial indicators: $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,530 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 30. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shillings 71, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 08. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 ril 579. Russia is 78 rubles 14.4. India is 86 rupees 14. China at 7 yuan 17, and in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 68. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,354 and platinum at $1,427 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $69.37 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipho Zuma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa. Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
SABC Sport brings you Chasing the Sun, a powerful 5-part documentary telling the story of the Springboks, the rousing tale of their path to redemption and ultimate World Cup glory in 2019. Starting on the 13th of July at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2, tune in every Sunday for the highs, the heartache, and the heroics that made rugby history. Stream each chapter on SABC Plus anytime, anywhere, no subscription needed. Don't miss Chasing the Sun this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2. Be there when history shines.
Balisa and Benjamin, fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
All right, we're wrapping up our African View debate. Under the question, is polygamy more honest than monogamy in African relationships? Continuing this debate with us before we wrap up is Siphile Buthelezi and Renee Hlahle. Renee, let me come to you because before we went to our news break, we were chatting to Usiphile, speaking a little bit as well about how there's so many people who are who say to be in monogamous relationships but are dishonest with their partners. So you spoke a little bit about that, and you spoke about some of, I guess, the porous nature of the morality of those individuals. But do you think, they're just not well taught, as something that you said? Or do you think that society shuns upon polygamy, therefore there are people who might be polygamous in nature, however haven't explored it, or maybe are ashamed to explore that nature, so monogamy seems like the only option that they have? Therefore, we see some of these other extramural relationships that they have outside of their monogamous relationships.
Thank you, Palesa. I think on that note of honesty, if we truly ask the women who are getting into and agreeing to be part of these polygamous relationships, do they really desire to be in that type of dynamic? And I feel that for most women, the answer would be no, because it's a thing of, if I want a man and this is the only way that I can have him, then I am willing to go along with the conditions that he comes with. So it's more so a compromise and as I said earlier, how well you suppress yourself, because you're realizing, or the way it is being presented to the women is that if you want to be married to me as a man, this is the condition. This is how you need to live. And a woman who desires marriage is going to be willing to compromise. But is it a true desire, an honest desire of that woman? More often than not, I think it isn't. And also on the polygamous side, polygamous men, they may be honest about the women they want to marry, but they are not fully transparent about their girlfriends. Polygamous men do have girlfriends that their wives don't know about. So it's not entirely honest from the start to the end. He will only present that truth and that honesty when he is ready to marry someone who was a girlfriend.
Sipile, that's an interesting insight that's coming there from Renee. Very powerful points. The first one being that she's of the belief that women don't necessarily want to be in a polygamous relationship. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that, because if you inform a woman right at the beginning, before even dating, that this is the type of a person you are, she's got no, really, if she says no, she will say no before she even invests emotionally in a relationship. So really, and I don't think it's just polygamous men who are not honest about their girlfriends. I think the correct statement will be men generally tend to not be honest about
Spilile, that means you've lost your debate, because the debate was polygamy is more honest than monogamy. So you need to back yourself up there.
Yeah, no. Why I'm saying that, I'm going back to my statement earlier on before we went on break to say that you have a situation where a polygamous man most of the time, will not have kids that show up on his funeral. Okay?
So it's only about the kids, not the relationships.
No, I'm just making an example that we tend to not want to accept the reality as is. And the reality as is that majority of men are polygamous by nature.
And I think that's a generic. I'm not polygamous, mate.
No, but I mean, I know I cannot put you on the spot.
Yes.
The reality is that there was a time where probably you dated 2 ladies.
No, there's never been a time.
There's
never been a time.
No, I'm not. As I said, I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm not putting you on the spot.
You're not. No, I'm being honest. You're not putting me on the spot, because I've never dated 2 people at the same time.
But what I'm saying is that I honestly think that polygamous men are more honest. If it's done correctly, by the way, let me put it like that, they are more honest, and because from the word go, the people that get into a relationship with them will know what type of a relationship they are looking for. Then, 10 years down the line, after getting married, you suddenly change your mind, you want a second wife. So I think if it's done correctly, they're generally more honest compared to monogamous men. And also, I think it's important to say also to men out there, polygamy is not for every man. Okay? Just because you have extra cash or you have money doesn't mean that you must take a second wife. Growing up, my late dad used to say, polygamy is a gift in isiZulu, isiphiwo. Polygamy is phiwo. So it's not for everyone. And because it's a gift that you have, you also be gifted with the wisdom to lead a household with more than one woman. Okay? So it's a pity now that every man wants to have more than one wife, more than one wife. But growing up, my understanding is that polygamy is not for every man. It's also not for every woman. There are women, I think it's also incorrect to assume that women who get into polygamy, they need to compromise. I know women who are professionals, women who say, I love my space, so I would prefer a polygamous marriage so that I can be able sometimes to have a me time of some sort. And we've seen women write that on social media. So it's not really about compromising. It must never be assumed that women who get into polygamy, they compromise, they are desperate for marriage and all of it. No. I had a client that had a wife, 2 wives, one a doctor, the other an accountant. Okay? So those are professionals. And one would assume that why would a doctor be in a polygamous marriage? But they are there. And a society will then say, but those individuals are independent. They are independent financially, and why would they go into? Because it's a lifestyle that they choose.
Yes,
there's no one who's. I would like to believe no one is forced into getting into polygamous marriage, especially this day and age. No one can be forced to do that. They do so because that's a lifestyle that they agree with.
Okay, we have to wrap it up there. I think we'll let those be your closing statements in this regard. And we'll leave it up to those who are listening to decide, is polygamy more honest than monogamy? Or is monogamy more honest and sustainable than polygamy? Let us know your thoughts. Really intriguing statements and, conversations coming from both Pile Buthelezi and Renee Hlatle, who joined us in this conversation. Thank you so much to both of you for speaking up on this particular conversation and giving us your thoughts. +27 63 9126. Let's hear from you. What do you think on this Africa view of today? Is polygamy more honest than monogamy?
Call us on +27 63 406 9126 and contribute to the conversation. Africa in Song with Chanduko Ligege.
So when you think of African music, you think of Kwasa Kwasa, high life music from West Africa, Afrobeat from West Africa, of gospel music or faith music or spiritual music. But when we think of reggae music, we go to the Caribbean, and if it's Africa, we only think about Lucky Dube. Well, I'm here to introduce you to some reggae music from Africa. Salif Keita with Dakan Faye from Mali. And I must say, this one was a real shock for me because I never had imagined Salif Keita on a reggae beat. But listening to him, it just proved to me how versatile he is as an artist because you'd be expecting him to be on that vibe of West Africa, of ballads. But he really proved that he is very versatile, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Africa in Song with Chanduko Ligege.
We are up, we are ready, we are on the move with Palisa Tau and Benjamin Mushatama on Channel Africa.
Vue d'Afrique with Joel Muteba. We go to Eastern Central Africa and find Darubinia Africa with I Am Shakif. Madapiri gives us some life. Zochi Tika, 7 till 8 p.m. Maria Mokumalo comes in 8 till 9. We get some useful knowledge. Kalodiscopia, 9 till 10. We take a look in Africa and beyond. Africa World Hour with Sipiso Makwetla. And we close it up with some love. The Hotlines with Shailen Dikumana, 10 till 12 p.m. on Channel Africa. Across borders, across time zones, on air, online. This is Channel Africa.
Right, coming up after the news at 9 o'clock, we have On the Move with Palisa and Benjamin. Good morning, Palisa.
Morning, Peter. How are you?
Always fabulous. Thank you very much indeed.
Doing good. Well, let me tell you a story, Peter. If you look, in fact, just outside this window, right, you can see the street next to us. There's a street coming through, a residential street coming this way. Back in varsity, I went to the University of Johannesburg, the Bunting Road campus on our right, and there's the Kingsway campus on our left. A friend of mine and I went to the library. We couldn't find the book we wanted, so we walked to the Kingsway campus, to that library. Got there, found what we needed, and then walked down through this residential area. And as we were about to reach a few meters just before the SABC here where we are, we got mugged by two guys. And we got mugged in front of a group of men doing construction in one of those residential houses. They just watched it happen and everything happened. The guys took our phones and they ran off, got in a car, shoot. We're obviously devastated. They went on to do the work that they wanted to do. So we're speaking about, I'm telling you the story because in the first hour of the show, we're speaking about community involvement in addressing personal crises. And we're finding out the question, have you ever witnessed someone in distress and said nothing? Or you were too scared or nonchalant to intervene? So that's the conversation we're having in the first hour of today's show.
Wow. I mean, it's an interesting one. And sadly, especially gender-based violence.
Yeah.
Everybody sees it, everybody hears it, and for some reason, it's a difficult thing for people to intervene. I'm fascinated to hear about that conversation.
Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa.
more than just a broadcaster.
The time in today's African View debate, we're asking the question, is polygamy more honest than monogamy? And those who came in to be a part of the debate today both get quite compelling arguments. And you know what? I would say in this particular factor, it's impossible for me to say one wins over the other, because both these relationship types are exactly that. They are relationship types that people get to choose, right? And the only thing that is on the outside for me of this conversation is when there are people who are part of any of this relationship style that are not choosing to be in it, but as Renee said, would be compromising to be a part of that particular instance. And and that's where the cracks are, particularly in this conversation.
I have to take a side today. It's my first time actually taking a side, and I'm going to go with what was compelling for me in the arguments. And I really think Renee was stronger on this one, especially when we heard Sipile at the end bending over to the fact that men are generally dishonest. So the argument was polygamy is more honest. It wasn't say virtuous, it wasn't saying traditional, right or wrong. The argument is polygamy is more honest than monogamy, and he bent on that argument.
On the honesty factor.
On the honesty factor, and he went haywire. So today, for me, I'm on Renee's side.
All right, you let us know which side you're on in this particular conversation and what you think about the honesty in particular, because there's so many conversations that can be had about polygamy, right? Whether it's innate in people, which is one of Sipile's opening arguments, that, many men have this as an innate part of them. It's human nature of men, and therefore
and it's a generalization.
It was a generalization. And Ben, Ben was like, not me, not me, honey, please do not include
I cannot
me.
handle two women at the same time. I really struggle.
Yeah, so there are so many conversations that can take place around polygamy, but the honesty factor, you're right in terms of Renee winning, because Sipile did contradict himself to the end when it comes to the honesty factor. But more than anything, I think it's okay to be a part of any of these relationship types, but it should be honest in terms of the consent should be given freely and fairly, as we had a conversation about consent here on the show not so long ago, from all the parties that exist inside. And if you've consented to it to be honest, then it should be honest through and through. Even if when you meet new people that you want to be their partners, you should be able to be honest enough to go to that person who apparently consented to this particular relationship style and said, I have a new girlfriend now. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but you must know that they are around. Because if you're truly being honest within that polygamous landscape, it should be easy to speak out about everything that's going on.
Okay, what's your take on this one? +2763 406 9126. Let us know. Do you agree with Sipile Buthelezi, who was saying polygamy is more honest than monogamy? I think that he was defeated by Renee Hlahle, who was joining us on the other side, saying monogamy is more honest and sustainable. Give us your thoughts. Remember that WhatsApp number is where you can text us and voice note us. +2763 406 9126. We're moving into the final hour of the show. It's 1100 hours Central African time. Let's find out what Jwalane has for us in the latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Benjamin. Top stories. Zasawa, the fifth ordinary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament opened this morning, and Israel will not renew the UN Office for Humanitarian Affairs Director's visa. Good morning. The fifth ordinary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament will officially open in Midrand, Johannesburg, South Africa this morning. The session will be held under the African Union theme for 2025, Justice for Africans and People of African Descent through Reparations. Nhlanhla Mahlangu reports.
The opening ceremony will be officiated by President of the Pan-African Parliament, Chief Fortune Charumbira.
The event will feature a keynote address by guest of honor Professor Miguel Cesar Domingos Pembe, Ambassador of Angola in Ethiopia and Chairperson of the African Union's Permanent Representative Committee. Other guests include South Africa's Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperations, Thandi Moraga, amongst others. Reporting for Channel Africa, I am Nhlanhla Mahlangu in Johannesburg.
Senior Communication Officer at the Kenya Human Rights Commission, Ernest Connell, says the charges against arrested prominent human rights activist Boniface Mwangi will not stand in court. Mwangi was arrested at the weekend on suspicion of facilitating terrorist attacks linked to deadly anti-government protests last month. The Directorate of Criminal Investigation said on X that detectives had arrested Mwangi at his home in Machakos County at the weekend and had seized 2 unused tear gas canisters and 1 7.62mm blank round, along with 2 cell phones, a laptop and notebooks. In addition, Mwangi is also due to be arraigned for unlawful possession of ammunition. Colonel says Kenyans will attend court in solidarity with Mwangi.
We expect, of course, the Director of Public Prosecution to see through the scheme that the government is employing, to see through it that these are malicious charges. These are charges that won't stand any test of law, and these are charges that cannot be prosecuted, and therefore we expect that the DPP will have this case dropped immediately.
16 suspected foreign nationals are expected to appear before the Pilgrim's Rest Periodical Court in South Africa's Mpumalanga province for contravention of the Immigration Act. The suspects, aged between 18 and 42, were arrested during police's Operation Vala Umgodi in Pilgrim's Rest yesterday. They were allegedly found without valid documentation to be in the country. Police spokesperson Captain Mpono Nyanimbe says they are working with the Home Affairs Department to verify the status of the arrested suspects. Meanwhile, 15 Zamazamas are expected to appear in the Barberton Magistrates Court for alleged possession of explosives. They were also arrested during Operation Vala Umgodi. They are facing charges that include illegal mining. The Human Sciences Research Council in South Africa, HSRC, says if prosecutorial action is not taken to meet public expectations, then there will be an erosion of confidence in commissions of inquiries. This comes after President Cyril Ramaphosa instituted a Judicial Commission of Inquiry to investigate allegations relating to the infiltration of law enforcement, intelligence, and associated institutions within the criminal justice system by criminal syndicates. Earlier this month, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi publicly stated that the criminal syndicates were infiltrating police. Police Minister Senzo Mchunu has since been placed on special leave of absence. The HRC's Dr. Benjamin Roberts explains.
We've actually done in-depth research on attitudes towards the Zondo Commission. We've done about 3 or 4 years of in-depth assessment of public views towards that particular Commission of Inquiry. And it is along the lines of what you thought. The public is generally favourable towards the way the Commission handled itself procedurally, are favourable in terms of some of the recommendations. They're very concerned, however, about implementation of those recommendations. There are lingering issues about whether these commissions are deemed to be value for money.
Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Saar has confirmed that he has given an order that the visa of the United Nations Office for Humanitarian Affairs Director Jonathan Whittle not be renewed. Whittle has regularly condemned the situation in Gaza and recently said the conditions near the aid distribution sites are created to kill. Israel accuses him of biased and hostile conduct, which distorted reality and broke UN neutrality rules. Recapping the top story this hour, the 5th ordinary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament will officially open in Midrand, Johannesburg, South Africa this morning. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo Mwebe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Well, the time is moving quite quickly. It's hour 3 of 3 right here on The Move with myself, Palesa Tau, and Benjamin Mushatama. We hang out with you here on Channel Africa, where you can continue to get that African perspective. We just came from a very heated debate in the second hour of the show. That is our African View debate that takes place every Monday on the show. And the conversation today was, is polygamy more honest than monogamy in African relationships? That's also the question we're asking on our social media handles. We have a poll there on our X handle at Channel Africa 1 asking you that question. Do you think polygamy is more honest than monogamy in African relationships? Participate in our poll, and we'll definitely give you the results by the end of the show. So far, a lot of people are saying no, 71.4%, and those who are saying yes are 28.6%. Let's see if those results change by the rest of the day. But it doesn't matter what you're doing with your day right now. If you're moving about, maybe it's your lunch break, you're working from home or in the office, there's so many ways to tap into Channel Africa on channelafrica.co.za. That is our website. On the SABC Plus app, that's an app that you can download on any app store and find Channel Africa there under the radio section. And of course, our audio bouquets, DSTV channel 802 and OpenView HD channel 628. We're going into our fitness and nutrition corner in this hour of the show, and we're speaking about matcha. Have you heard about matcha tea? Maybe you've seen it on your social media screens as well. Looks quite trendy, looks quite cool. But what exactly is it? We'll be chatting to Lerato Letlhake, global wellness advocate, in a few minutes.
Annie Kalonji sur Channel Africa.
Nous allons à présent dérouler notre tapis rouge pour accueillir notre personnalité du jour, l'artiste chanteur Sheky Frey, qui est en ligne de Guinée avec nous.
Je suis un artiste guinéen, un créateur, un styliste, et je fais un peu ce qui plaît à mes fans. Voilà, c'est un peu ça. On a beaucoup de genres de trucs à faire, mais bon, pour le moment, on est basé un peu sur le rap.
D'accord. À quelle période de votre vie avez-vous commencé à vous intéresser à la musique, Sheky?
Bon, je ne crois pas qu'il y ait une période, parce que moi, je suis un mélomane depuis mon petit âge.
Annie Kalonji, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and the whole country affected by gender-based violence. For all your favorite SABC radio stations, call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC.
Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa 1. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa 1. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Benjamin Mushatama and Palesa Tau on the move.
Anybody who knows me knows that I am a tea lover. I'm not a big coffee fan at all. In fact, I don't really drink coffee much, but I love tea. In fact, I don't think I can function without tea. I didn't have my morning tea today, and I'm not so happy. I think I was in a rush leaving the house, and I couldn't find, the thingy that I usually put my tea in. So the flask that I usually put my tea in. So it's not a very happy morning for me because I didn't have my morning tea. But I mean, tea is more than just a routine.
Morning, you with me.
If I had tea and you, it would be even better, Benji.
Okay.
But outside of being
that,
just
that
like...
was the redemption, because when you said,
I was like, oh no. No, I like you being here, but I also love my tea, and I wish you guys would collaborate. So if I come here and I don't have tea, to make our life better, bring me a cup of tea and then we're going to be fine.
Yeah, I'll organize.
There's been exploding global demand for a tea called matcha and matcha flavored products that has left Japanese suppliers struggling to keep up, and it's driving up prices and leading to shortages of this finely ground green tea powder. This is all thanks to influencers swearing by it on social media and a lot of viral videos that are racking up millions of views with everyone having a cup of matcha tea. But what exactly is matcha? What are their benefits, and why is it trending so much on our socials? We're finding out about the ins and outs of matcha. Lerato Letlake is a friend of the show, and she's a global wellness advocate helping us in today's nutrition and fitness corner. Thank you so much, Lerato, for your time. It's always great. What is matcha?
Dumalang, hi everybody, how are you?
Hey.
Long time no chat. How are you and Benj?
We're doing
I've
good.
not heard Benj's voice in a while.
It's good to hear from you. It's good to have you back.
Thank you so much. Thank you to you, listeners also. Listen, matcha is green tea elevated. Think
Really?
of moringa, right? Think of, because, let me put it this way. It's the reason why I'm saying it's green tea elevated is because it's a green powder. And what they do and how they actually harvest it is that they use the leaves. They use the green tea leaves, not really green tea, but like matcha leaves, and they use the whole leaves, unlike the way we get green tea, you know what I mean? Where they don't use the whole, like bagged tea, for instance, where leaves are discarded. Whereas here they use the whole leaves, and they are pulverized into fine, ultra fine powder. And for me, the reason why people are so in love with matcha so much is because of the health benefits. And I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
And hence why people are so in love with it so much, because it's a detoxifier, it's an enhancer for your health, really. It's an energy booster. So if you're a coffee lover, I would say literally replace your coffee with matcha.
That's so cool. What are the health benefits? I don't know much about matcha, and I thought it was just a flavorant.
It's let's say, hence I'm saying think of moringa as it's a herb, you know. So it's rich in vitamins, vitamin C. It's chlorophyll, helps to eliminate your heavy metals in your body. It's also shown to increase your metabolism, support. You know, it's an antioxidant powerhouse. So think of it like this. It's, you know how you need to have your berries, like your blueberries. It's because of the antioxidants, it has 10 times more than your blueberries,
Oh,
you
wow.
know. So it has amino acids, which also help you, you know, to be calm. You know, tea just makes you calm. So this one gives you even more calm alertness, you know, no coffee jitters and all those kind of things. It's great. I mean, I can take it as far as that it helps to cure some cancerous cells actually also in your body. So hence why it's such a big thing that people are all about it. Also your influencers on social media.
Lerato, is it just a trend? That's the thing, right? Because usually when things trend,
Right.
there are a lot of people who are not really getting the real form of this particular thing.
Yes.
Just because all that people know is that I like matcha, it's pretty, it's green, I'm going to go and get some wherever. And you might not really know what's going inside it. Maybe just any kind of like green powder. Because
100%.
some of it looks like this really pretty bright green. And I'm not always sure if it's actually what it's
coloring.
supposed to be in there, right?
Exactly, absolutely. I think one thing that one should do is it's like similar to clothing, right? People can say it's 100% cotton, but it's an organic cotton. So you have to dig deeper into finding out where is it sourced, you know what I mean? And how is it processed, you know? Because to your point, there can be a hype of, it's a superfood, you know, and people are just doing it for the views and for the money. But meanwhile, it's actually it's backed up in terms of science has backed it up, as matcha being one of the powerhouses that we need in our systems. Hence why I'm saying, think of it as moringa. If you think about it, when moringa also came out, it was similar to this in a sense that, it blew up so much that people think scam, but actually it's not. It actually is a powerhouse. So one should actually go into depth of, doing your own research, knowing where to find it, how is it processed, because companies literally need to specify how and where is it sourced. So you as a buyer, you need to do your own research.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Let's talk a little bit about how you can use it, because Palesa was speaking about matcha tea, there's matcha coffee. Are there many ways that you can use the matcha powder or the matcha ingredient in itself?
Yeah, absolutely. You can put it like it's a tea, like Palesa said. You can put it in your porridge. Think about it as a supplement, right? In your smoothie, in your, just to boost your gut health, just to boost, all those things. So you can use it, like I said, in your tea, in your porridge, in your smoothies. You can just take it as it is. That's if you've got the gusto of it, you know what I mean? Just to take a powder just like that. But yeah, that's pretty much, it's as simple as putting it in a tea. It's as simple as putting it in what you call it, in your smoothies. It's literally that simple.
So let's speak about the matcha flavor, because matcha is the tea, right? It's the powder that you can drink in the ways that you just described. But there's so many products that are getting into the market that say matcha flavor. And if something is flavored or tastes like something, it doesn't particularly mean that it also gets its properties. So let's speak about that, because people who are now in the matcha trend are buying everything matcha, but many things are like matcha flavored this.
Flavored, yes. You know what? Think of it as now this new term coined when you're buying products, vegan. You know what I mean? And for me, I'm just like, we need to call a thing what a thing is and not actually push it because of product. And you could say it's smart for them to do that as companies, to say matcha flavored, because when you say matcha flavored, you're actually not saying that it has all the nutrients that the matcha has. You're just using it because now it's a new phrase that's coined now to actually promote your businesses and all those kind of stuff. So that's why I'm saying that you need to go for organic. Things that are organic are better, because okay, I'm getting the pure form of this thing.
Let's talk about the organic element. How would you notice an organic type of matcha? Because usually we see matcha incorporated in other products. We don't have it in its raw form.
Yeah, and for me, that's what I would suggest people to go for. Like, go out there and look for pure organic, premium even organic matcha powder form as it is. Because now when you go for tea that says latte matcha, guys, we using words just to amplify something that's not there in most cases. Do you get what I mean? So hence why I'm saying that how you can get for it to be organic, it's you having to go and look at the supplier, where do they source this thing from, and how was it sourced, because you need to trace it, hence why it's important for you to do your work, because I can't say to you, I guess I can't show it to you now, but like when you buy a product, you need to go to the website, look at look at their processes. They should tell you the process from beginning to end, and that's how you know, are you having the real thing, or you just actually just being sold something that's just named matcha.
All right, Lerato, we'll leave it there. I think it's important for people to understand that not all trends mean that you know exactly what's going into your body. And it's always important to also find out if certain things are going to work for you. But also, I don't think it's healthy to have 5 cups of matcha a day, even if it has all these amazing properties, right?
No, of course not. No.
We always love and appreciate having you here. It's also great to have chatted to you about this today. Thank you so much for your time, Lerato.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a lovely one.
Thanks, Lerato. Well, that takes us to 21 minutes past 11 o'clock Central African time. I see Josephi Faisoyi there on our live stream saying that Josephi is live from Area 24 in Lilongwe, Malawi. Hey, I love that. I love when people tell us where they are coming from. When you come to our live stream, please do the same. Tell us where you are listening to Channel Africa from or where you're watching our live stream from on Facebook. Let's take a break. We'll be back.
Anaitwa Daniel Etienne Benson. Huyu alizaliwa mwaka 1997, ilikuwa Mei 14, na anajulikana kitaalamu kabisa kwa jina la muziki BNXN. Haya, ni mwanamuziki huyo, ni mwimbaji kutoka nchini Nigeria, mtunzi wa nyimbo na mtayarishaji wa record label. Ameshirikiana na Rema kwenye wimbo huu. Rema vile vile ni msanii kutoka huko nchini Nigeria.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
The Midnight Snack, 12 to 3 a.m.
Young couples or young people that are getting married, we often hear of divorces, that they're getting divorced, and it's quite worrying because when we attend these weddings, we want to see these people flourish and celebrate 30-year anniversaries. What do you think is the main challenge that is facing newlyweds?
We say that tell me how you were raised and I'll tell you how you love. So when we see people getting married, that's not where the relationship actually starts. The relationship starts with how you were raised, what you were familiar with, because we are attracted to what we are familiar with. If you don't have a background where love was prominent, where love was authentic, it's going to be very difficult for you to manufacture that in later life. So our upbringing has something to do with it.
The Midnight Snack, every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege. Step into the heart of the day on the move with Palisa and Benjamin.
No, 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 no. Oh, yeah.
Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa has a voice, and that voice is Channel Africa. It keeps you in motion, speaking, singing, questioning, rising. Wake up with Rise and Shine 6 till 9. Peter and Asanda, as they bring you breaking news, sharp analysis, and the voices that shape the day. At mid-morning, we get on the move with Palisa and Benjamin, digging into the African lifestyle, people, and the things that make Africa smile.
12 till 1. Africa Update with Lulu Kabu. Getting in-depth, powerful stories, and the perspective you won't hear anywhere else. The Upside, 1 till 4. Live and real with Tepuho Likweleni and Nompumelelo Ngubeni. Tame Ngubeni talks money, Africa in business, 4 till 5 p.m. 5 till 6. We put on a little bit more color. Vue d'Afrique with Joel Moteba. We go to Eastern Central Africa and find Darubinia Africa with I Am Shakif. Madapiri gives us some life. Zochitika, 7 till 8 p.m. Maria Mokumalo comes in 8 till 9. We get some Lucifer knowledge. Kalodiscopia. 9 till 10. We take a look in Africa and beyond. Africa World Hour with Sipiso Makwetla. And we close it up with some love. The Hotlines with Shailen Dikumana. 10 till 12 p.m. on Channel Africa. Across borders, across time zones. On air, online. This is Channel Africa.
Hey guys, so it's about 30 minutes before we have to go onto the show and go live, and we're just having our own little briefing session with the team. We've got our producer in the background, Unsako. We've got
on TikTok in particular, and a big part of TikTok is the sounds. I mean, what is TikTok without the sounds?
Yeah.
Ben knows that I'm a big TikTok person,
Okay.
and I'm always scrolling on TikTok.
Everyone
Ben,
knows you are a TikTok.
everyone knows
person,
that. But you aren't on TikTok as much as I am.
No.
And it poses the question to me, if you know some of the popular sounds that trend on TikTok. Because what happens is that there will be a particular sound that someone posts or a company posts or whoever posts, and then it gains traction, and then people can use it in a particular way outside of the context of how it was originally posted. But if you scroll and there's a popular sound, then you're going to hear that sound perhaps every fifth scroll. So even around you, if they're on TikTok too and they're scrolling on their phones, you're probably going to hear that sound quite often. So what people do these days is that, similarly to the video that we had last week where we were taking a look at some of the shoes of the people in our studios and at work
Attaching
and
a song
attaching
to
a
them.
song to it, people are going to find out who is actually addicted to TikTok, who's on TikTok enough to know the sounds.
Okay.
So Ben, when I say to you, darling, hold my hand, what do you say?
Nothing.
Unfortunately, you could have said something. If I say, darling, hold my hand, you say?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, if I say, darling, hold my hand, this is what you say.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person. That's £200
This
off
sounds
for
like
a
an
family
ad.
of 4.
That is 100% an ad. So there is an airline called Jet2,
Okay.
right? And they put out this ad, but the sound became trending because people would use it as a way to sort of show some of the mishaps they've had in, like, maybe at a holiday or maybe you're hanging out. Like this particular video we had,
Okay.
someone was at a stadium and they were celebrating and then the cake hit their face. If you're like
Oh, wow.
paragliding and then by mistake you let go of the rope and then you
Oh,
spiral
wow.
and they
Okay.
use the sound. So people are going around the office and I come to you and I say, darling, hold my hand. And it shows that you're not on TikTok because then you should say, nothing beats a Jet2 holiday.
Okay.
So I'm going
I
to
feel
find
like an outsider now. Feel
You
like lonely.
You must feel lonely
Little-
because
in
you're
my
not
little
on TikTok
corner.
enough. So this is what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to go into our studios today and I'm going to go to everyone who's here in the office today
Okay.
and I'm going to say to them, darling, hold my hand, and I'm going to see who's on TikTok enough to say
But
nothing
you're
beats
probably
a Jet2
going to find out that
holiday.
you're the one in a corner on your own and
I'm the
nobody
only one
is
that
on
knows.
TikTok as much as you.
Then that means that I need to change office spaces because you guys should know that nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. It's 11:30 Central Africa time. Fikile Lungwati, do you know that nothing beats a Jet2 holiday? Let's get our latest sports news.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Let me stick to boxing as I begin with Tyson Fury says Alexander Usyk knows he's the only fighter who can beat him after the Ukrainian crushed Daniel Dubois to become a two-time undisputed heavyweight champion. Usyk produced an emphatic fifth-round finish against his British opponent at Wembley on Saturday to reclaim the IBF title, further cementing his status as one of boxing's all-time greats. The undefeated 38-year-old added the IBF belt to his WBC, WBA and WBO belts when he beat Fury by split decision in Riyadh in May last year before he was forced to vacate his IBF title. The British boxer retired after he lost to Usyk again in Saudi Arabia by unanimous decision in December, but he signaled his intention to return to the ring earlier this month. Now golf news. Scottie Scheffler romped to a magnificent four-shot victory to seal his first Open Championship title at the Royal Portrush on Sunday, notching his fourth major task success. The world number one eased to a 3-under-par final round of 68, finishing on 17 under for the tournament after shooting in the 60s on all 4 days. Scheffler says it feels special to win.
It's a very special feeling. It takes a lot of work to get to this point in my career, and this was a tough week. It was challenging. The golf course was playing really tough, and I had to focus very hard over the course of the weekend. And really the only blemish over the last 36 holes was the double on 8, but did a good job of kind of resetting and coming back with a birdie on 9. And I guess this one was different than the PGA in terms of I had a decent lead to start the day, but PGA I felt like I struggled a bit on the front 9, and then was able to kind of push forward and win it on the back 9. Whereas this one I felt like I built up a lead. It got a little close there after the double on 8, but like I said, bounced back on 9 and was able to keep a pretty sizable lead for most of the day.
Rory McIlroy could not hide his admiration towards Scottie Scheffler after the American stomped to victory in the Open Championship at Royal Portrush.
None of us could hang with Scottie this week. He's an incredible player. He's been dominant this week, but honestly, he's been dominant for the last couple of years. He is the bar that we're all trying to get to. And, in a historical context, you could argue that there's only maybe 2 or 3 players in the history of the game that have been on a run, the one that Scottie's been on here for the last sort of 24 to 36 months. So incredibly impressive. Yeah, he's a very worthy winner. And but also he's a great person, and I think he's a wonderful ambassador for our game as well. So I'm really happy for him and Meredith and his family.
Now on to rugby news. The British and the Irish Lions are off to a winning start in their rugby test series against Australia after defeating the host 27-19 in Brisbane. The Lions had the better of the first half, taking a 17-5 advantage into the dressing room, while the Wallabies salvaged some pride in the second half to give them hope for the next test. Across the Tasman Sea, New Zealand defeated France 29-19 in the third and the final test of the autumn series in Waikato to complete a clean sweep of the series. The home side had to claw their way back into the contest after France took a 19-10 lead in the opening half and a 19-17 advantage into halftime. New Zealand continued the fight back in the second half and secured the victory with less than 5 minutes left in the game. We will wrap up with tennis news. World number 63, Louise Boyson, defeated Anna Bondar of Hungary 7-5, 6-3 to claim her maiden WTA Tour title at the Hamburg Ladies Open yesterday. The French woman had already proved her ability to play when she reached the semi-finals at the Roland Garros last month. That was on show once again at this week's 250-level tournament at AM Rotterdam in Hamburg. However, it wasn't all plain sailing for the 22-year-old as her Hungarian opponent opened up a 4-love lead in the first set. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Anaitwa Daniel Etienne Benson. Huyu alizaliwa mwaka 1997, ilikuwa Mei 14, na anajulikana kitaalamu kabisa kwa jina la muziki BNXN. Haya, ni mwanamuziki huyo, ni mwimbaji kutoka nchini Nigeria, mtunzi wa nyimbo na mtayarishaji wa record label. Ameshirikiana na Rema kwenye wimbo huu. Rema vile vile ni msanii kutoka huko nchini Nigeria.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Let's bring in Nosipho Zuma with our latest business news.
business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Palisa. Good morning. In your business news this hour, artificial intelligence won't take over human jobs, but people who know how to use AI effectively just might. Now, that's according to Director of the Good Work Foundation, South African and United Kingdom boards, Musidi Mudise. She says, if anything, AI will create more jobs.
Looking at what organizations like the World Economic Forum are saying is that no, AI is unlikely to replace us. What it is doing, however, is changing how we work and how we get things done. In fact, the Future of Jobs report that the WEF published in 2025 predicts that AI will create a whopping 170 million new jobs globally by 2030, even while it shifts around 92 million existing ones. So there's actually a huge net gain. And the real change, I think, is that AI is just taking over very mundane, repetitive, routine jobs, freeing us to think around more complex, creative things.
The South African trade union Solidarity says FlySafair has refused to negotiate in good faith to resolve the pilot strike, which started this morning. The union says the strike, which was initially planned for only 1 day, has been extended to 14 days after FlySafair decided to lock out the striking pilots for an extended period. Solidarity has rejected FlySafair's 5.7% offer and is demanding 10.5% for the 2025-2026 financial year. Solidarity's General Secretary Gideon Du Plessis.
But we also said if there's no settlement on the roster issue, maybe we can go back to the pilots and say, listen, if they give you 10%, will you then accept that to soften the blow, at least financially? And they said, no, we need more rest and we need more time with our families. Our intention was a one-day strike to disrupt the passengers just for 1 day. The response from FlySafair was then a 7-day lockout notice and another 7 days on top of it, which we don't accept.
Meanwhile, FlySafair Chief Marketing Officer Kirby Garden says 12% of their flights have been cancelled. Garden has rejected claims that 90% of their pilots are part of the strike.
The vast majority of flights are still going to be operated on time as per schedule, but there are about 12%. All details of those flights are available on the travel updates page on our website at flysafair.co.za. Unfortunately, the union has been misrepresenting the numbers, obviously, to try and pursue a sensationalist view. So where Solidarity reports that 9 out of 10 pilots are striking, that's actually inaccurate. The reality is that only 2/3 of the pilot base are actually represented by the unions.
Mining company BHP Group has opted to sell its interest in the $2.5 billion Kabanga Nickel project in Tanzania to its partner Lifezone Metals for as much as $83 million. The NYSE-listed company will acquire BHP's 17% equity interest in Kabanga Nickel Limited, the majority owner of the Kabanga Nickel project in northwestern Tanzania. The company issued a report on Friday that put development costs for the project at $2.49 billion. It is expected to produce around 50,000 metric tons of nickel annually once fully ramped up, a process that will take 6 years, including construction. A final investment decision on the project is due next year. BHP had agreed in 2022 to make an investment of as much as $100 million in the nickel mine and processing facilities if certain conditions were met. And finally, oil prices were little changed as traders assess the impact of new European sanctions on Russian oil supplies, while they also worry about tariffs possibly weakening fuel demand as Middle East producers are raising output. Brent crude futures dropped 10 US cents to $69.18 a barrel after settling 0.35% lower on Friday. US West Texas Intermediate crude was at $67.33 a barrel, down 1 cent, following a 0.30% decline in the previous session. Your financial indicators: $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,530 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 bula 30. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shillings 71, and in Zambia, it's 28 kwacha 08. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5.579. Russia is at 78 rubles 44. India is 86 rupees 14. China at 7 yuan 17, and in South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand 68. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,354 and platinum at $1,427 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $69.37 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipho Zuma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. The Midnight Snack, 12 to 3 a.m.
Young couples or young people that are getting married, we often hear of divorces, that they're getting divorced, and it's quite worrying because when we attend these weddings, we want to see these people flourish and celebrate 30-year anniversaries. What do you think is the main challenge that is facing newlyweds?
We say that tell me how you were raised and I'll tell you how you love. So when we see people getting married, that's not where the relationship actually starts. The relationship starts with how you were raised, what you were familiar with, because we are attracted to what we are familiar with. If you don't have a background where love was prominent, where love was authentic, it's going to be very difficult for you to manufacture that in later life. So our upbringing has something to do with it.
The Midnight Snack, every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege.
SABC Sport brings you Chasing the Sun, a powerful 5-part documentary series about the Springboks, telling the rousing tale of their path to redemption and ultimate World Cup glory in 2019. Starting 13 July at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2, tune in every Sunday for the highs, the heartache and the heroics that made rugby history. Stream each chapter on SABC Plus anytime, anywhere, no subscription needed. Don't miss Chasing the Sun, this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2. Be there when history shines.
Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go.
Nakusia uyashike kwa kiapo, fikiri sana dunia kitendo ukifanyapo, sababu imepotea kwa wengi.
My amazing co-host Matsheko Mosito.
Also, I'm not amazing.
We've got Ntsako that side, and we just just getting our ducks in a row for the show. Once we go live, there's no turning back. Make mistakes, we make them on air, but we try our best to prepare and ensure that we don't do that when we go on. And when we do, and we laugh about it, guys, we're only human. But this is how it looks like when we're just getting ready for the show. Enjoy. Here we go. Mix. Let's go. Come on. Let the creative juices flow.
The tree, what's at the bottom of it?
The root.
Thank you. If I'm not excited, like I'm just sitting around, I have nothing to do.
Bored.
Thank you. If it's not mist, it's mist. If it's not mist in the morning, you can't see the road. It's like a cloud.
Bright and early in the morning.
Like
sometimes your brain experiences.
It rhymes with dog.
Fog.
Thank you. I don't know this one.
This one, guys. Hi, guys. Come on.
What is this? When I'm doing this, thank
shooting.
you. Yeah. You're so
funny.
Thank you.
Alright.
Nice and easy, clean. Don't forget what caught your eye at 22.
Yes.
And then, we're good. You
Fantastic, fantastic.
23, my love. Oh, okay. Show your name on that.
Re kene ka intro ele. Yeah.
Yo. Coming to you all the way from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa, this glorious Thursday afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube. And of course, if you have DSTV, it's 802 OpenView channel 628. Download the SABC Plus app so you can take us with you wherever you go. Good afternoon to you, Mateko. How are you doing this afternoon?
My dearest, I am happy that you got the memo that this show is wearing black today. Our social media specialist is wearing black.
Excellent.
Our madam producer is in black. You are in black. I'm in black. I love it for us.
Black.
All black.
We actually need to do a photo shoot.
And actually,
After the
a
show.
group photo.
A
Yeah,
group photo.
with all black everything. Hello there, my name is Mateko Musito and I am contributing as co-host on a show called The Upside here on Channel Africa. We are in your company wherever you are on the African region between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. in Central African time.
Hey guys, Debohole Kuleni here from the Upside team on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Join us every single weekday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central African time for the ultimate afternoon drive show.
Bringing you lifestyle, news and views and opinion, most importantly, because that matters always, hey? So catch us on air. I, of course, work with the wonderful Debohole Kuleni and we are very happy to be here, so join us.
Africa has a voice, and that voice is Channel Africa. It keeps you in motion, speaking, singing, questioning, rising. Wake up with Rise and Shine 6 till 9. Peter and Asanda as they bring you breaking news, sharp analysis, and the voices that shape the day. At mid-morning, we get on the move with Palisa and Benjamin, digging into the African lifestyle, people, and the things that make Africa smile. 12 till 1, Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, getting in-depth, powerful stories, and the perspective you won't hear anywhere else. The Upside, 1 till 4, live and real, with Tebohole Kwaleni and Mateko Musito. Tamengo Bene talks money, Africa in business, 4 till 5 p.m. 5 till 6, we put on a little bit more color. Vue d'Afrique, with Joël Moteba. We go to East and Central Africa and find Darubinia Africa with I Am Shakif. Madapiri gives us some life. Zochitika, 7 till 8 p.m. Mariamo Kumalo comes in 8 till 9. We get some useful knowledge. Kalodiscopia, 9 till 10. We take a look in Africa and beyond. Africa World Hour with Sipiso Makwetla. And we close it up with some love. The Hotlines with Shailen Dikumana, 10 till 12 p.m. on Channel Africa. Across borders, across time zones, on air, online. This is Channel Africa.
Right, coming up after the news at 9 o'clock, we have On the Move with Palisa and Benjamin. Good morning, Palisa.
Morning, Peter. How are you?
Always fabulous. Thank you very much indeed.
Doing good. Well, let me tell you a story, Peter. If you look, in fact, just outside this window, right, you can see the street right next to us. There's a street like coming through, a residential street coming this way. Back in varsity, I went to the University of Johannesburg, the Bunting Road campus on our right, and there's the Kingsway campus on our left. A friend of mine and Idi Ramadi and Lucky Star Hisani Nakusia was the one we gave you before this one. This is the music of the African continent right here on Channel Africa. It's 11:50 Central Africa time, and we'll continue the conversations of the day after this.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Anaitwa Daniel Etienne Benson. Huyu alizaliwa mwaka 1997, ilikuwa Mei 14, na anajulikana kitaalamu kabisa kwa jina la muziki BNXN. Haya, ni mwanamuziki huyo, ni mwimbaji kutoka nchini Nigeria, mtunzi wa nyimbo na mtayarishaji wa record label. Ameshirikiana na Rema kwenye wimbo huu. Rema vile vile ni msanii kutoka huko nchini Nigeria.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Keeping you on the know and on the move.
All right, we're about to wrap up the conversations of the day, but stay with us. There's still a lot to see and hear right here on Channel Africa. Really important and interesting conversations we had today. And if you've missed any of them, the conversations of the day, just in the last hour, we had our African View debate. That's the African View. It's a debate feature that we have here where we bring in 2 or more people to debate a particular topic. And today we were debating whether or not polygamy is more honest than monogamy. Really compelling arguments from both of our debaters today, and it's quite an interesting conversation. I think it's one that can rile people up because people really do feel quite they feel a lot about, you know, those relationship styles that people have. I say, you know, whatever you choose, as long as everyone consents, it's all good. In the first hour of the show, we took a look at wine o'clock. Yeah, it's not just a glass of wine to relax at the end of the day, but it's important to look at some of the deeper struggles that could cause you to be drinking on a daily basis, and using alcohol as well as a form of escapism was the conversation there. And we just went into our nutrition and fitness corner where we took a look at the matcha tea trend and why it's so popular, but also all the health benefits of matcha as well. So you can catch up on those conversations. Head on over to our website. That's www.channelafrica.co.za.
Hey, we're looking forward to all those conversations. Remember, from midday Central African time, we'll get our latest news on the African continent. While that is a show that makes sure that you are updated on what's happening on the African continent. It's called the Africa Update, and Tabiso Lehoko will be holding down the reins today. He'll be letting us know just in a few minutes what's going to be happening on that show. We've got journalists in different parts of the continent. We've also got a great team here on our level. Most of them are not even in the office right now. They're probably in the field making sure that you are getting those news. But hey, let's take a little bit of break and let Tabiso to come in and relax and let us know what's coming up on his show.
Above you, so many lies, but girl, you're the truth. And I'm so proud to call you my boo. I stick with you just like a tattoo. Forbidden love like it's taboo. Don't care what anybody might do. We put our haters in a review. My eyes are seen. So many shit on the streets, and I've been through places you've never been. I know be soon more picking. I don't chop breakfast, lunch, and chop dinner. My heart is cold like the winter, but you want me up, Angelina. So I give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Girl, you like my work, and it's giving love. You can have it all. I put nothing above you. You know I put nothing above you. So many
This is Fields, and this one is titled Stand By You. We enjoy the music here, but we also enjoy the conversations more than anything. We're about to leave as the On The Move team. We bring in Thabiso Lehoku, who's standing in for Lulu Gabu on the Africa Update. Good morning, Thabiso.
Good morning, Palisa.
How are you doing?
I'm all right, and yourself?
Doing good. Let us know what's coming up today on the Africa Update.
You know, Palisa, a shocking security lapse at South Africa's busiest airport has sparked investigations and finger-pointing between key aviation players. A passenger boarded an Ethiopian airline from Johannesburg to Addis Ababa carrying 2 training hand grenades.
No way. Hand grenades?
Hand grenades in his checked baggage.
No, in the checked-in baggage. That is insane.
It slipped past the scanners at OR Tambo International. The items were only spotted during a routine check at Bole International Airport in Ethiopia, and leading to swift action and obviously some suspensions. So we'll be talking to an expert who has more insight on exactly what's erupting there.
Erupting.
Now, there is an alarm which has been sounded with disturbing reports emerging of WhatsApp channels sharing explicit content featuring minors.
Yeah, I've heard about that. They've been trending. They've called them the shade rooms. And it's not the first time an incident like this occurs. I think I remember when I was back in high school, there was a similar incident that happened as well. But it's terrible. And it's a good thing now that our laws have adjusted to social media, and hopefully those offenders can get persecuted accordingly.
Definitely, in an effort through regulation in order for tighter, stricter controls to be handled there. But then and again, and close to 2,100,000 South Africans are left stranded in Thailand due to human trafficking. So, you know, these stories more or less kind of related, but very important, actually.
No, indeed. Quite related indeed. And very, very, very scary things that are happening in the world today. Well, we're looking forward to all these conversations and hear how you and your guests will be unpacking those. That's the Africa Update. Thabiso Lehoku will be standing in for Lulu Gabu. Well, we'll be back tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the very first day of this particular work week. We'll be back tomorrow. Have yourself a fantastic day, Africa, and God bless.
Bad man. Yeah. Say what's on my mind. Me, I got no time. Nobody can stop. Waiting got design. Me, I'm not the pastor. Me, I love the moo wine. The boy know they entitled. If you treat me right, it's fine. Right. Wine for me. Say wine for me. Right now, me no got no time to keep no dirty company. Only positivity, no bad energy. I live my life the way I want. To owe no one apology. Come back and fall another day. Me and all my fellas and my people want to play.
Library, we couldn't find the book we wanted, so we walked to the Kingsway campus, to that library. Got there, found what we needed, and then walked down through this residential area. And as we were about to reach like a few meters just before the SABC here where we are, we got mugged by 2 guys, and we got mugged in front of a group of men doing construction in one of those residential houses. They just watched it happen, and everything happened. The guys took our phones and they ran off, got in a car, shoot. We're obviously devastated. They went on to do the work that they wanted to do. So we're speaking about, I'm telling you the story because in the first hour of the show, we're speaking about community involvement in addressing personal crises. And we're finding out the question, have you ever witnessed someone in distress and said nothing? Or you were too scared or nonchalant to intervene? So that's the conversation we're having in the first hour of today's show.
Wow. I mean, it's an interesting one. And sadly, especially gender-based violence.
Yeah.
Everybody sees it, everybody hears it, and for some reason, it's a difficult thing for people to intervene. I'm fascinated to hear about that conversation.
Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African run and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion.
Good afternoon and welcome to Africa Update on Channel Africa, the African perspective, where we meet to look at the latest in news, current affairs and sport. I am Tabiso Lohoko, together in studio with the Onalenzenzi, Musibudu Makura and Buntle Headbush. Coming up this hour, the UN Security General Antonio Guterres has welcomed the peace deal signed between the Democratic Republic of Congo and the AFCM23, and airports company South Africa AXA has suspended its group executive for enterprise security and compliance, pending an independent probe into alleged operational irregularities. But first, the news with Onele, followed by the sport headline with Musibudi. Good afternoon.
SABC News. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tabiso, and greetings to our listeners. The fourth ordinary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament has officially opened in Midrand, Johannesburg, South Africa. The session is being held under the African Union theme for 2025, which is Justice for Africans and People of African Descent through Reparation. Kanhla Mahlangu reports.
The opening ceremony will be officiated by President of the Pan-African Parliament, Chief Fortune Charumbira. The event will feature a keynote address by guest of honor Professor Miguel Cesar Domingos Pembe, Ambassador of Angola in Ethiopia and Chairperson of the African Union's Permanent Representative Committee. Other guests include South Africa's Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Thandi Moraga, amongst others. Reporting for Channel Africa, I am Kanhla Mahlangu in Johannesburg.
Senior Communications Officer at the Kenya Human Rights Commission, Ernest Connell, says the charges against arrested prominent human rights activist Boniface Mwangi will not stand in court. Mwangi was arrested at the weekend on suspicion of facilitating terrorist acts linked to deadly anti-government protests last month. The Directorate for Criminal Investigations said on X that detectives had arrested Mwangi at his home in Makachok County at the weekend and had seized 2 unused tear gas canisters and 1 7.62mm blank round, along with 2 mobile phones, a laptop and notebooks. In addition, Mwangi is also due to be arraigned for unlawful possession of ammunition. Connell says Kenyans will attend court in solidarity with Mwangi.
We expect, of course, the director of public prosecution to see through the scheme that the government is employing, to see through it that these are malicious charges, these are charges that won't stand any test of law, and these are charges that cannot be prosecuted, and therefore we expect that the DPP will have this case dropped immediately.
16 suspected foreign nationals are expected to appear before the Pilgrim's Rest Periodical Court in South Africa's Mpumalanga province for contravening the Immigration Act. These suspects, aged between 18 and 42, were arrested during police Operation Vala Umgodi in Pilgrim's Rest yesterday. They were allegedly found without valid documentation to be in the country. Police spokesperson Captain Mpho Munyanembe says they are working with the Home Affairs Department to verify the status of the arrested suspects. Meanwhile, 15 Zamazamas are expected to appear in the Barberton Magistrate Court for alleged possession of explosives. They were also arrested during Operation Vala Umgodi. They are facing charges that include illegal mining. The Human Sciences Research Council in South Africa says if prosecution action is not taken to meet public expectation, that then there will be an erosion of confidence in the Commission of Inquiry. This comes after President Cyril Ramaphosa instituted a judicial commission of inquiry to investigate allegations relating to the infiltration of law enforcement, intelligence and associated institutions within the criminal justice system by criminal syndicates. Earlier this month, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi publicly stated that there are criminal syndicates infiltrating the police system. Police Minister Senzo Mchunu has since been placed on leave of absence. The HSRC's Dr. Benjamin Roberts explains the research they've conducted about Commission of Inquiry.
We've actually done in-depth research on attitudes towards the Zondo Commission. We've done about 3 or 4 years of in-depth assessment of public views towards that particular Commission of Inquiry. And it is along the lines of what you thought. The public is generally favourable towards the way the Commission handled itself procedurally, are favourable in terms of some of the recommendations. They're very concerned, however, about implementation of those recommendations. There are lingering issues about whether these commissions are deemed to be value for money.
Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
And coming up in your sports news this hour, so it's down to the final 4 teams at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament. At the semi-final get underway tomorrow, while the Springboks are ready to defend their rugby championship titles. Details of these and other stories coming up at 12:30.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
Thanks to Onela with the news and Musibudi with the sport headline. We are broadcasting live from Auckland Park in Johannesburg, South Africa. Channel Africa. You can always www.channelafrica.co.za, as well as on the SABC at Channel Africa, Instagram at Channel Africa 1. You can also subscribe on YouTube at Channel Africa 1. Remember to use the hashtag Africa Update. On today's Africa hashtag update asks, a passenger boarded an Ethiopian Airlines flight from Johannesburg to Addis Ababa with 2 training hand grenades in his luggage. The items were detected during a routine check at Bole International Airport in Ethiopia. This has led to the suspension of Airports Company South Africa's Group Executive for Enterprises, Security and Compliance, pending an investigation. How could this slip in security have been allowed? Do such things occur where you are? Share your thoughts on Channel Africa's social media platforms at Channel Africa 1 on X and Instagram, at Channel Africa on Facebook, or you can send us your comments and voice notes to our WhatsApp number. That number, it's a +27634069126. That number again, it's a +27634069126.
Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa 1. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa 1. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
SABC Sport brings you Chasing the Sun, a powerful 5-part documentary series about the Springboks, telling the rousing tale of their path to redemption and ultimate World Cup glory in 2019. Starting from the 13th of July at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2, tune in every Sunday for the highs, the heartache, and the heroics that made rugby history. Stream each chapter on SABC Plus anytime, anywhere, no subscription needed. Don't miss Chasing the Sun this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2. Be there when history shines.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has welcomed the peace deal signed between the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Alliance Fleuve Congo Movement du 23 Mars, or AFC M23 in Doha, Qatar, over the weekend. Guterres urged all those involved to ensure the swift implementation of the commitments undertaken. Meanwhile, authorities in the DRC are cracking down on senior military officials suspected to be involved in an assassination plot against President Felix Tshisekedi. The arrests include the head of the president's security, Frank Ndumba, and Presidential Advisor Christian Chiwewe. To chat to us further, we are now joined on the line by Dr. David Matsanga, a political analyst. Good afternoon, Doctor. Trust you well today.
I am well and kicking live still on African journey to make sure that Africa is peaceful, free from neo-colonialism and manipulation.
That's good to hear, Dr. Matsanga. Let's begin with the peace deal that was signed over the weekend. Could this one possibly hold, and what are the contents of it?
My brother, these are principles towards a peace agreement. I have looked through it, read them as a conflict resolution expert in the world. I think it might not hold. Why? 240 standing armies on DRC Congo. We are only concentrating on one, M23 and AFC. What about 239? They are still in Congo. So how are you going to police peace? How will you bring peace when these others are not there? One of the aspects that was missing is that the African Union and Uhuru Kenyatta and Obasanjo and other people were doing to bring these other movements together first with the South African former president to come on the table, then you can call peace, peace. But this is pieces of peace that will not hold. And believe me or not, just believe me or not, I told your radio station here a few weeks ago that there will be a military coup in DRC Congo. I told you. And don't ask me how I know. I'm an expert in the world, and I keep on smelling everywhere. I'm like you, my brother, as an investigative journalist. I heard there will be a coup. Tshisekedi sold Congo. The Congolese are not happy. Sold Congo for minerals. They are not happy. There will be one. Thank you.
I hear you telling me that you predicted this one, Dr. Matsanga. But now tell us, how different is this peace deal compared with previous ones?
Very much different. This one, you know the difference in this one, brother, is that these people have taken territory. They have taken territory. And you are telling them, oh, you stay where you are. They have taken Bukavu. They have taken Masisi. They have taken Goma. They have taken all the towns, a chunk of land equivalent to Uganda as a nation total. They have taken it. And they are there. They have a sitting army in that place today as we speak. And so when you tell me you have made peace, how are you going? Have you noticed that there are some countries in the region that are keeping quiet? They have done like this, my brother. Put the ear here, keep quiet and watch. Because it might not hold. Kabila is in Goma. Kabila, the former president, is in Goma. He's not allowed to arrive in Kinshasa. What peace are you holding? What peace? Where is the peace here? Where will it be? Congo was cursed.
I hear you mentioned, Dr. Matsanga, that they've captured places like Bukavu as well as others that you've mentioned. I'm sure this is due to some interest that some key stakeholders have in that area. Another story making headlines in the DRC is the arrests of senior military officials. What do you make of their arrests?
It is not the end. He might arrest the whole army. You know why?
I don't know.
Even the signing of this agreement, in fact, I told this radio station, yours, 2 weeks ago, that Tshisekedi, when they signed this peace agreement in Washington, I said he has signed his death warrant. Because the other forces in the eastern province of Congo I am telling you, they are soon walking. And one of these days in the morning, chill morning, cold as it is in South Africa, you will be broadcasting a military coup. It will be there. I'm telling you. I'm not scaremongering anybody. But the type of administration that Mr. Tshisekedi has brought in that country, the type of policies are not the policies that the Congolese want. Therefore, I think he better expect many, and he will purge as many, he will arrest as many. This is now the second attempted coup. Remember the one where people woke up in the morning, they were going for him in the state house. And with the American help, those Americans have been released, they have gone back home. You see, it is very strange. Now he has come for these other ones. He's cleaning up the house. Those are supposed to be friends of the ones of ASF and M23. The guys that he has arrested are believed to. So how many is he going to arrest? Let him change his governance style. Let Congo has got one problem, brother. One problem only. And that problem is ethnicity. The East, the West doesn't like the East. Until you solve that, you are wasting your time.
It seems like this one problem just keeps on creating many problems in the DRC. Now, I'd like to take this a little bit further and ask you that in January, Israeli-American businessman Moti Kahana met Tshisekedi on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos to warn him about a coup plot purportedly involving Israelis. Now, can you tell us more about this meeting and what could have been discussed, given the fact that you've also had your own predictions of another coup, Dr. Matsanga?
Exactly. Listen, I am a listening ground. I'm an investigative journalist, and I study in law. I'm an international legal expert on international law. You can't beat Dr. Matsanga. All this, I'm a member of Chatham House, a member of who listens, a member of International Institute of Strategic Studies. Let Tshisekedi listen to me and watch me. Let me take off the glasses. Maybe he can listen. This young man, Tshisekedi, listen. There is nothing that will stop changes in the DRC Congo until you change your behavior towards the people of the East. Bring your country together, accusations, and remove all these standing armies within your country. More and more, you are signing an agreement with one rebel group. 239 rebel groups are waiting for you. You have created your own army. You know, one of the problems that Africa should speak, I'm glad I'm around here in African Union headquarters, around a few meters away from here, came here to do one or two things. Let me tell you, we have a bad African Union, dead. Kabisa, dead. That's why they allowed things like Morocco to come in. Someone has allowed Morocco even to host your football. I hope you are not flying to Morocco to see the football. If I see you there, I will be very upset with you because Morocco has occupied Western Sahara. Don't allow Morocco to ever come near African Union. So African Union has killed us. We have not had a problem, good problem of DRC Congo at all. We can't see what they want. They have not said what they want. African Union former chairperson kept on picking money from Qatar, allowing this problem to build. Here it is building. Now you are going for another peace process. You will be signing very many until you do one thing. Do you want me to tell you what you should do?
No, I think, Dr. Matsanga, we should just hold it there. Another
And
thought
we
for
hold it
another
there, but
day.
Let me tell you what you should do about Congo.
In a nutshell.
Rearrange it. I don't want to say the word that you will be scared of. Congo needs rearrangement. Like we are rearranged Yugoslavia. You know that. You're a student, and I believe you have a master's degree in your studies. Rearrange Congo like we rearranged Yugoslavia. Less than that, don't waste my time, my money. Don't waste taxpayers' money in Africa. Thank you very much, brother. Rearrange Congo. That is when it will have peace.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matsanga, for your time this afternoon. That was a political analyst, Dr. David Matsanga.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Now, the airports company, South Africa, AXA, has suspended its group executive for enterprise security and compliance, Lieutenant General Mzwandile Petros, pending an investigation, an independent probe into alleged operational irregularities. This follows an incident where a passenger boarded a flight to Ethiopia from OR Tambo International with 2 training hand grenades in their luggage. The items were detected during a routine check at Bole International Airport in Ethiopia. The Civil Aviation Authority has fined AXA $112,765 for the security breach. For more on this, we are now joined on the line by aviation analyst Phuthego Mojapele. Good afternoon, Phuthego. Trust you well.
Good afternoon, Taviso, and to your listeners, and thank you for having me.
Great. Phuthego, let's break this down. What specific operational irregularities are being investigated in relation to Lieutenant General Mzwandile Petros' suspension, and how might these have contributed to the security breach at OR Tambo International Airport?
Look, there has been a series of incidents of security breach that has happened both at the airports outside Johannesburg, in Cape Town. I know for a fact I'm one of the complainants that have lodged the complaint to Civil Aviation Authority about the security breach. And that was late last year, November last year, when I launched a complaint after a serious security breach. And CAA has since investigated, and they did find them guilty of that. Now, when this happened, there was kind of many other incidents that have happened where the CEO of AXA has been really very much trying to downplay the seriousness of the situation there. And I'm actually glad that she eventually heeded to the call of start with the head of the security at AXA to make sure that these other issues are investigated properly and are able to find the solution for these problems. Because you can't have a situation where the top airport in Africa, we South Africa is the top, as in top. We are found to be wanting on the issues of security. We do have FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, that comes and do the security audit here. We also have TSA from America, which also came and do the security audit here in South Africa. And all those audits should have been highlighting some of the issues that has been cited on their reports that have been given to AXA. So where we are sitting right now is that the security at AXA is highly compromised, and it needs to be dealt with immediate effect. How on earth in this country you have somebody flying out of our own country with hand grenades, whether it's a training hand grenade or whatever kind of grenade it is. At the end of the day, it is an explosive. And explosives are not allowed anywhere closer to the airports. It is something that is prohibited by ICAO, IOTA, as well as the CAA here in South Africa. So it is important that we needed to have the top of the security, the head of the security, being put on suspension so that the investigations can carry on. But that's not only the person that needed to be dealt with. The entire security needs to be overhauled.
I hear you say, South Africa, the airports company there has strict security controls, and I understand your concerns, and one of the reasons why you also ended up elevating this in a form of a complaint. Now, given the fine which has been imposed by the South African Civil Authority, what measures is ACSA implementing or should implement to address the identified security protocol deficiencies and prevent future incidents, given the fact that you stated that it's top?
Look, I understand the problem. ACSA would argue that the problem is not entirely with them. I will understand where they're coming from as far as that is concerned. There is an MOU that is existing between the airlines that are flying into South Africa, for example, Ethiopian Airlines and many others that comes into South Africa, where they have appointed a company that can handle, that can do handling for them, ground handling for them, including the very same luggages that contain those hand grenades that we're talking about. And that some of the company or that company that has been given that responsibility to look after the airlines, the breach comes from them because ACSA has no control over that because of the evergreen contract that seems to be in place. By the way, ACSA has contested that contract before through the courts, and it seems like they did not win. So what needs to happen is that ACSA needs to have a total control of the security at the airport, but not giving it to any third party to try and do the job for ACSA. So as long as we have that kind of setup that is not challengeable in court or in law, we would still see some of these elements unfolding. The fine that was imposed on ACSA ideally should have not been imposed on ACSA. It should have been imposed on that company that has been appointed to handle because ACSA has no, they don't have control over what these other companies are doing in their area of operation. However, it is still, ACSA is still a landlord. They have the right to determine as to how they want things to be handled. And as far as I'm concerned, I do believe that with this suspension of the head of security, overhaul is imminent, and we will see things changing, including those service providers that are not doing their job and embarrassing us in the international stages.
Putego, regarding the FlySafe Air pilot strike planned, how might this action disrupt operations at OR Tambo International Airport, already under scrutiny for security issues?
Well, the strike currently that is going on at FlySafe Air, it is merely on the flight deck. It's got nothing to do with other operational like ground handling and others. It's purely flight deck, and it's only 200 members of Solidarity, and therefore that should not be compromising any security. Look, the security at the moment at ACSA is on the spotlight, and I do believe that ACSA will do anything possible to make sure that the security is not compromised. But as far as the strike is concerned, it's purely based on the pilots and many other members or staff members of the staff. They are at work. And I think they would still maintain all the things that they need to do on day-to-day operation of the service of FlySafe Air.
Thanks for your time once again this afternoon and for shedding light on the events erupting there. That was aviation analyst Putego Mojapele. News headlines with Onele Ntsinzi.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tabiso. The first ordinary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament has officially opened in Midrand, Johannesburg in South Africa. The session is being held under the African Union theme for 2025, which is Justice for Africans and the People of African Descent Through Reparations. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has welcomed the peace deal signed between the Democratic Republic of Congo and the AFC M23 rebels in Doha, Qatar over the weekend. And the Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba has said he will stay in office despite his election defeat in the upper house elections. Channel Africa News, I am Onele Ntsinzi.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective.
Musiburi Makura with the sport update.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
And a very good morning, rather good afternoon from the Sports Desk. We'll start with some rugby news first. So South Africa's under-20 men's rugby team, also known as the Junior Boks, have arrived home from Italy following their under-20 victory against their arch rivals New Zealand at the weekend. So the captain of the South African under-20 side, Riley Norton, says the country has the most talent of all the nations at schoolboy level, which of course will make it tough to stop the Springboks' current momentum. The Junior Boks beat New Zealand, their nemesis, 23-15 in the final in Revego over the weekend to end a 13-year drought in this year's tournament. Now, South African teams now hold the men's world crowns at the under-20 level, as well as the senior level, as well as the sevens format. The skills, of course, and the talent in local rugby is undeniable, and the captain of the side, Norton, says in the final, mental maturity was also on display.
When you're in the lead, it can cross your mind that I try to straight away get back to what's at hand. And I think everyone was reminding us that we can never be complacent, especially against a team like New Zealand, which are unbelievable. As soon as you switch off and you give them an opportunity, they can take it, and they're deadly in that. So, of course, it crosses your mind, but at the end of the day, you've got to stay in the present, and you just got to focus from the play to the play and whistle to whistle, because I think if you just think about the future and what's to come, I think that's when you can get yourself in quite a tricky situation and see yourself conceding points.
On to football news now. Banyana head coach Dr. Desiree Ellis says she's confident in goalkeeper Andile Dlamini's abilities following her penalty heroics in the shootout win over Senegal on Saturday. The defending champions were held to a goalless draw by the Senegalese side for 120 minutes in their quarter-final clash before Ellis' side converted 4 penalties while Dlamini made 2 saves. This to help Banyana secure victory and progression to the semi-finals of this year's competition. They will face their nemesis Nigeria, the Super Falcons, for a place in the final tomorrow. Ellis says the team had confidence in the Mamelodi Sundowns ladies goalkeeper to make more than just one save in the penalty shootout.
As I said yesterday, we've been practicing penalties and we knew who our kickers were going to be. That's why we made the changes that we made as well. We always knew that Andile can save 1 or 2. We always knew. She's done it before. By the way, this is our first penalty shootout win in WAFCON. We lost in 2006, we lost in 2018 in the final. So this is our first win. But I said the game was going to be tough. I said the game was going to be hard, but we prevailed in the penalty shootout.
Onto this now, FIFA President Gianni Infantino has ordered the governing body's support to England defender Jess Carter after she revealed that she was a target of racist abuse during the Euro 2025 competition, which is, by the way, ongoing in Switzerland. Carter, who is black, on Sunday announced that she's stepping away from social media for the duration of this year's tournament. The 27-year-old said it all started has started all 4 of England's games at this year's tournament, but struggled in their quarter-final win over Sweden last Thursday as the Lionesses conceded 2 first-half goals. Now, Football Association CEO Mark Bellingham also condemned the abuse and said the FA has been in contact with the UK police, who are in touch with the relevant social media platform to ensure those responsible for this hate crime are brought to justice. Now, European soccer governing body UEFA, Carter's Club, also Gotham FC, as well as the National Women's Soccer League and the Lionesses all posted statements in support of the player. Back on the continent now, Morocco's home-based national team is hitting the peak form at just the right time, recording a second consecutive friendly win ahead of the 2024 Total Energies African Nations at Chan tournament, with a strong 2-1 victory over fellow Chan contenders Burkina Faso over the weekend. The youthful Atlas Lions are now shaping up to be serious title contenders ahead of this year's competition. The result follows Morocco's 6-0 thrashing of Chad in June and also confirms their growing momentum despite limited preparation time. So with Chan tournament kicking off on the 2nd of August, co-hosted by Kenya, Tanzania as well as Uganda, the head coach of the side, Tariq Sekoti, appears to be moulding now a cohesive as well as a confident squad drawn entirely from the domestic talent born in 2000 or later. The coach of the side also believing that the team has what it takes to beat some of the best teams at this year's competition. They are in Group A alongside the host nation Kenya, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Zambia as well as Angola. So the Lion Cubs will also face Burkina Faso just one more time this coming Thursday ahead of the competition. That match will serve as their final preparation ahead of the competition start on the 2nd of August. And finally in golf news, Scottie Scheffler romped to a magnificent 4-shot victory to seal his first Open Championship title at Royal Portrush on Sunday, notching his first major success. The world number 1 eased to a 3-under par final round of 68, finishing on 17 under par for the tournament after shooting in the 60s on all 4 days. Scheffler says this is quite a special one.
It's a very special feeling. It takes a lot of work to get to this point in my career, and this was a tough week. It was challenging. The golf course was playing really tough, and I had to focus very hard over the course of the weekend. And really the only blemish over the last 36 holes was the double on 8, but did a good job of kind of resetting and coming back with a birdie on 9. And I guess this one was different than the PGA in terms of had a decent lead to start the day, but PGA I felt like I struggled a bit on the front 9, and then was able to kind of push forward and win it on the back 9. Whereas this one I felt like I built up a lead. It got a little close there after the double on 8, but like I said, bounced back on 9 and was able to keep a pretty sizable lead for most of the day.
And that concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Você é fluente em português? É apaixonado por rádio e quer trabalhar na África do Sul? Você tem documentos que o qualificam para trabalhar na África do Sul? Nesse caso, podemos ter uma oportunidade para você trabalhar no Canal África. Envie seu currículo e demonstração para Canal África at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Lembre-se, se você não receber alguma resposta nossa em 14 dias, isso significa que você não foi selecionado. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
We now go straight to Buntle Headbush, who's standing by with the Channel Africa's business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thanks, Tabiso, and a very good afternoon to our listeners. In our top business story at this hour, the African Development Bank says it's approved a loan worth $116 million to support sustainable farming led by women and young people in Morocco. The bank says the financing is intended to boost food security and strengthen the resilience of small-scale farming against climate change, and that it is particularly targeted at women who have the ambition to undertake and succeed in agriculture in Morocco. The African Development Bank has invested over $17 billion in projects including transport, water, energy, farming, governance and finance over the past 5 decades. There's a renewed push for clean governance and ethical procurement in South Africa's Gauteng province. The Gauteng Ethics Advisory Council, together with the provincial government, is hosting a high-level engagement with leaders of organized business. The gathering, taking place in Johannesburg, marks an important step towards strengthening public-private partnerships under an Integrity Pact commitment. Social justice activist Thulima Donsela says this type of commitment will translate into better outcomes for ordinary citizens, like the faster construction of clinics.
Because the idea is, number one, the tender goes to the right person. The person commits by signing the pact as part of the tender documents that firstly, the information they've provided about their competence is correct. The pricing is not overpriced or inflated.
The South African trade union Solidarity says Fly SAFE has refused to negotiate in good faith to resolve the pilot strike which started this morning. The union says a strike which was initially planned for only 1 day has been extended to 14 days after Fly SAFE decided to lock out the striking pilots for an extended period. Solidarity has rejected Fly SAFE's 5.7% offer and is demanding 10.5% for the 2025-26 financial year. Solidarity General Secretary Gideon Du Plessis.
But we also said if there's no settlement on the roster issue, maybe we can go back to the pilots and say, listen, if they give you 10%, will you then accept that to soften the blow, at least financially? And they said, no, we need more rest and we need more time with our families. Our intention was a one-day strike to disrupt the passengers just for 1 day. The response from Fly SAFE was then a 7-day lockout notice and another 7 days on top of it, which we don't accept.
Microsoft has issued an alert about active attacks on server software used by government agencies and businesses to share documents within organizations. The technology company has recommended security updates that customers should apply immediately. On Sunday, the FBI said it is aware of the attacks and is working closely with its federal and private sector partners, but offered no other details. Tracy Boomgard reports.
In an alert issued on Saturday, Microsoft said the vulnerabilities apply only to SharePoint servers used within organizations. It said that SharePoint Online in Microsoft 365, which is in the cloud, was not hit by the attacks. It said a vulnerability allows an authorized attacker to perform spoofing over a network, manipulating financial markets or agencies by hiding the actor's identity, appearing to be a trusted person, organization or website.
Artificial intelligence won't take over human jobs, but people who know how to use AI effectively just might. That's according to Director of the Good Work Foundation South African and United Kingdom boards, Musidi Modise. She says, if anything, AI will create more jobs.
Looking at what organizations like the World Economic Forum are saying is that no, AI is unlikely to replace us. What it is doing, however, is changing how we work and how we get things done. In fact, the Future of Jobs report that the WEF published in 2025 predicts that AI will create a whopping 170 million new jobs globally by 2030, even while it shifts around 92 million existing ones. So there's actually a huge net gain. And the real change, I think, is that AI is just taking over very mundane, repetitive, routine jobs, freeing us to think around more complex, creative things.
And now for our first look at the indicators this afternoon, $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,530 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 30. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shillings 71, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 8. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 rial 579. Russia is 78 rubles 44. India 86 rupees 14. China 7 yuan 17, and South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand 68 cents this afternoon. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities this afternoon, gold is trading at $3,364 per ounce, slightly up from this morning, and platinum at $1,443 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $69 a barrel. And those are your business news at this hour. I'll be back with more in the next hour. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Bontle Hetbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. The Morning Switch Weekend with the Shy Guy.
Mazuka Wanji Nonse, Zukani, the Shy Guy, a Morning Switch.
Have you ever listened to a song and then it gives you goosebumps? Because it takes you way back in the 80s. My goodness. Yay. Woo. Hey, baby. You hear Yvonne Chaka Chaka there. I want to talk to the DJ. And then the DJ goes like, hey, baby, I've got you on the other side. Huh? There were no WhatsApps then, right? There were no sliding in the TMs at the time. Oh, man.
Your weekend mornings are activated with the Shy Guy on the Morning Switch. Africa Update on Channel Africa.
Thanks for listening to Channel Africa. A prominent Kenyan activist, Boniface Mwangi, has officially been charged with 2 criminal counts following his arrest on the 19th of July 2025 at Maguezi Hub in Nairobi. According to the charge sheet filed by the Kahawa Law Court, Mwangi is accused of being in possession of 3 tear gas canisters and 1 round of a 7.62 by 51 millimeter blank ammunition without lawful authority. Channel Africa's Lebogang Mabange reports.
Authorities claim the items were recovered during a search of Mwangi's premises amid growing government scrutiny following last month's deadly anti-government protests which left at least 19 people dead. Mwangi, a well-known human rights defender and outspoken critic of the Kenyan government, has denied the allegations, stating on social media platform X, and I quote, "I am not a terrorist," unquote. His arrest has sparked widespread condemnation from civil society organizations and human rights defenders who view the case as part of a broader campaign to intimidate dissenting voices. The activist is expected to appear before court again as investigations continue. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has listed a police officer, a ballistics expert, and additional unnamed witnesses to testify in the case. Reporting for Channel Africa, I am Lebogang Mabange.
With the disturbing reports emerging of WhatsApp channels sharing explicit content to feature minors, it's time to take a closer look at your child's online activities. Emma Sadlier, founder of the digital law company, is sounding the alarm, urging parents to monitor their kids' WhatsApp accounts to ensure their safety in the digital world.
We have on WhatsApp the ability to have conversations. So I have a chat with you, then we can have a group which has a maximum size of 1,024 people. There's identifying information on that group. We know who else is on the group, we know who started it, and then we can start communities which have all these groups inside the community. Now what a channel is if you go bottom left of your WhatsApp app, there's a little section that says updates. That's where we see what people are sharing as their status, as their story, but it is the area where you will also find the channels. Now, when it comes to the channels, you can create an account with absolutely no identifying information. So I could say, everybody, here's the link to my WhatsApp channel, and then I found WhatsApp channels that have 35 million people following them. But the difficulty with monitoring what your children are looking at on your WhatsApp channels, and it's not encrypted and there's no identifying information. You have no idea who started the channel, who else is following the channel. All you can see is the name of the channel, how many people are following the channel, and when it was created. So it's a huge issue in terms of we can't hold anybody responsible for terrible content shared on those channels if we don't know who's behind it. So the WhatsApp channels, your kids can go and look at content shared on those WhatsApp channels without actually following them, which means as a parent, even if you are tech savvy and you're going to check what your child's following on WhatsApp, the reality is they don't need to kind of join that channel in order to see the content. They can just view as an outsider, which makes it an incredibly dangerous platform. What we're seeing from Meta, from WhatsApp LLC, is that they are not taking steps to correctly manage and respond to reports of inappropriate, illegal, indefensible content being shared on those WhatsApp channels. And so we're in a situation that once your child is on WhatsApp, they're able to see content which really, sometimes is totally illegal, sometimes is really only appropriate for 18 years up.
Emma gives her parents some tips in order to keep their children safe.
The most important line of defense against all of the online harms affecting our children are active, involved, engaged, aware parents, understanding the platforms. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go and play Fortnite for 4 months before you let your kid play. It's really a question of Googling it, asking all of the unbelievable academics and thought leaders working in this space about the issues, about the risks. Is this age appropriate? So having conversations about ground rules, things around, what the laws are. Rourke, my colleague, and I have just written a new book. It's called Don't Mess Up Online. And it's almost like the K53 to owning a smartphone, right? Before you're allowed to drive a car, which is a dangerous thing, you've got to learn the rules of the road. And so too with the rules of the digital highway, as cheesy as that sounds. But it is a complicated space. There are laws that are triggered. There are children, teenagers being arrested because of content shared on social media. We have very strict criminal laws, civil laws that affect children. And the problem is that we as parents often don't know what those laws are. So we're failing our children in terms of what the risks of teaching them how to behave online. So I think one of the most important things is talking to your children, trying not to overreact when your child comes to you and says they've seen inappropriate material, because it just means the next time it happens, they won't tell you. One of the most important things, and it was really reiterated to me in this mad week of litigation that we had last week, is how important it is to take your child's phone away when they go to bed at night. No tech behind closed doors at home. So many of the so-called drops that were happening that were sort of the focus of the lawsuit that we brought, where children were sharing leaks of private sexual videos and photographs that were obtained illegally and were distributed illegally, mostly concerning children. They were happening in the middle of the night. So people on these WhatsApp channels were saying, big drop coming at midnight, big drop coming at 2 a.m. And there were 20,000 kids watching what these drops were going to be. So really no good comes from your child having their phone with them in the middle of the night, and understanding how the platforms work, basic rules, what the laws are, and making sure your child understands how things can go horribly, horribly wrong, and trying as far as possible to guard them against that harm.
That was Emma Sadlier, founder of the Digital Law Company.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
Africa Update on Channel Africa.
On to this now. South Africa's ANC Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, says the recognition of Morocco by MK party leader Jacob Zuma does not come as a surprise. Mbalula says the ANC will not change its stance of supporting the self-determination of the people of Western Sahara. Former ANC president and now leader of Umkhonto weSizwe Party, Jacob Zuma, was seen in photos on social media visiting Morocco with the South African flag behind him. Ntantla Khahlane reports.
The ANC has been throughout the years consistent in its unwavering support for the people of Western Sahara. Morocco still considers Western Sahara to be part of its territory, despite the stance receiving widespread condemnation from many African countries and the African Union. In 2007, at the ANC's elective conference in Polokwane, which saw Jacob Zuma emerge as a winner to lead the party, a foreign policy position was adopted in support of the struggle in Western Sahara. This policy position was again reaffirmed when he was voted for a second term in Bloemfontein.
We reaffirm support for the people of Western Sahara in their struggle for self-determination.
Throughout the years, the ANC's position on Western Sahara has been consistent, and this was always evident during its January 8 celebrations. And Zuma, as the head of state and the party back then, reaffirmed this position. Now a U-turn from Zuma. This time around, the leader of Umkhonto we Sizwe party, the third largest party in the country, hold a different position.
We call on the international community to support Morocco's autonomy plan as the possible effective way to ensure peace, stability, and prosperity for the people of Western Sahara. Our party, Umkhonto we Sizwe, recognizes the historical and legal context that underpins Morocco's claim to Western Sahara.
Glaring in the background, the South African flag, the ANC has strongly condemned the expelled former president for siding with Morocco at the expense of the struggle of the people of Western Sahara. The ANC further says it's not surprised by Zuma's stance and has deemed it a sellout position.
The recognition of Morocco by Jacob Zuma is not a surprise. Jacob Zuma represents everything that is wrong.
That was the SABC's Ntantla Khatlane on that report.
Africa Update on Channel Africa.
We have now come to the end of Africa Update, and this is confirmed by someone who's just walked into the studio. Him walking into the studio confirms to me that we've come to the end. Tebogo.
Yes, sir.
The upside is coming up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As always, amazing, fun conversations. How are you? How was the weekend?
I'm all right. I had a great weekend. It was chilled.
I love that. I love that. We need to chill. We need to relax because we've got a whole week of exciting programming, conversations. Starting today, we get into conversation about the upcoming Decorex, which will be hitting Johannesburg, Sandton to be precise. We had the Cape Town leg. It was a resounding success. People are very excited about these Decorex exhibitions. We're showcasing the latest developments in interior designing, in kitchenware, in appliances, all kinds of innovations in the tech space that will feature in your home in the next couple of days, or hopefully a couple of months or even years to come. What's happening in that world of interior designing and those spaces of luxury, if you will. And then we get into conversation with Sibongile Maputla. She launched the first ever gifting and investment app. She's a tech founder, and this app is called Squirrel Away. So instead of gifting your kids, instead of gifting your kids toys on their birthday, why not take that money and put it into an investment fund so that over years it will grow, and by the time they're 18 or 21, they have something to fall back on or kickstart their own lives. So that's the whole idea.
Those are the kind of conversations I'd like to have with you.
Oh, with me? That means that you have to tune in for this conversation this afternoon. And then YouthX, we get into conversation with Nedbank about YouthX Awards. They're excited to announce the annual YouthX Awards, an opportunity for budding entrepreneurs to sign up and to sort of put their names out there to get an award, get recognized in the entrepreneurial space, especially in a time when unemployment is so high in South Africa. And these small opportunities, these small entrepreneurs, they are building for a brighter South Africa. So YouthX by Nedbank is allowing entrepreneurs to shine bright on the bigger scales.
I look forward to this menu. Thanks, Tebogo. Thanks for listening to Africa Update here on Channel Africa. My name is Thabisolo Hoko. I had been standing in for Ludugabu. Goodbye.